Chapter 266. This should be a small independent space, or a parallel space, which was isolated from the secular world by a super-large magic array in the antiquity times. Just like the Peach Blossom Spring recorded in the Book of Peach Blossom Spring, the place where people from Wuling entered should be a small immortal ruins. In response, Jiang Tian nodded slightly. After all, in the outer space, many immortal emperors and immortal venerables would create their own small worlds. This was nothing. It was even possible to create a universe after becoming a Hongmeng god. Hua Qingtian, Zhao Yuanquan, and Wei Feilong looked at each other with some surprise. In fact, they had heard some rumors about the ruins of immortality, but they were all vague and illusory. They did not expect this archaeology professor to know more. Later, I have seen many records in unpopular ancient books. There were many gods and spirit beasts that entered our world. They preached, took in believers, killed and bullied. I suspect that they came from the ruins of immortality. This record does not only exist in the ancient books of Wuxia, but also in the Tibetan Buddhist scriptures, ancient Indian books, and ancient Hebrew books. There are many legends. About the ruins of immortality, there were a few ancient maps and scrolls that were lost in the secular world. However, no one knows how many maps there are, and what the patterns look like. However, there is a consensus that as long as you find the map of the ruins of immortality, you can find the way to enter the ruins of immortality. In the Ming Dynasty's notes, Western Jingtan and Quiet Window, there are clear records that there was a divine monkey that broke through the void and came to our world. It once crossed the sea in one step, and came to the Himalayas. It picked a kind of divine grass and saved its injured and dying brother. In the ancient Indian religion, this monkey was called Hanuman. Moreover, it and its tribe once cultivated and lived on Mount Everest. These two notes are very credible. I found them in the ancient tombs of two martial artists that I excavated. The author of Western Jingtan was a great eunuch in the palace of the Ming Dynasty. It is said that he was also a master. The author of Quiet Window was also a master of martial arts. According to the records, this monkey has fiery eyes and can transform. It has boundless strength and can flatten a mountain with a single strike of its iron staff. It's very similar to the image of Sun Wukong in Journey to the West. Jiang Tian interrupted. However, at this moment his heart trembled. Back when he was in the outer realm, he had inquired about Empress Fu Yao and the Princess Flower, and he had also learned of a great secret. The Princess Flower had a guardian spirit beast called the Golden-Eyed Battle Ape. The Golden-Eyed Battle Ape clan needed to absorb the extreme yang energy within the Princess Flower, while the Princess Flower liked to eat the feces of the golden-eyed fire monkeys. Could this so-called divine monkey be the same as the Golden-Eyed Battle Ape from the outer realms? That's very likely. Perhaps Wu Qinzhen heard or saw the legend of this monkey, so he began to create literary works. Gu Baixian did not think that Jiang Tian was joking. He nodded and said, "After much research, we came to the conclusion that it had lived on Mount Everest and might have even died here. So we came here many times to search. Finally, Qing Cheng and I found a cave with the skeleton of an ape inside. However, we didn't find the legendary incomplete map of the ruins of immortality. Because I was engaged in this research, I also visited many cultivators and eccentrics. After a while, Wu Yingxiong found out about it. He captured me and interrogated me about the secret of the ruins of immortality. He wanted me to lead them to the cave." Gu Baixian sighed. "But it was strange. We went up Mount Everest 5 more times, but we could not find the cave anymore. This is already the 6th time. Maybe it's a concealment array." Jiang Tian had some understanding in his heart. For a spirit beast like this that had already gained sentience and was comparable to an immortal state or Taoist body cultivator, how could its dojo be discovered so easily? "Mr. Jiang, if you want to find the cave, I'll lead the way for you." Gu Baixian volunteered. "You just need to tell me which mountain it is on." Jiang Tian said calmly, "That one, Luo Zifeng. It's a little lower than Mount Everest, but it's still the 4th highest mountain in the world. It's 8,516 meters above sea level." Gu Baixian said, "You don't have to lead the way. It's not a problem for me." Jiang Tian said calmly, "More than 8,000 meters or 16 miles at the foot of the mountain. Jiang Tian's divine sense could almost cover it instantly. Even if he could not explore it at once, he could climb to the middle and cover it. The cave had a concealment array, so it would be difficult for Gu Baixian to find it. It was better to find it alone. At this time, Jiang Tian suddenly thought of something and asked, "By the way, since Mr. Gu is a master in the archaeological circle, you should know ancient characters, right?" "I wouldn't dare to call myself a master, but to be honest, I can recognize one or two ancient characters of various dynasties, including bone inscriptions, oracle bone inscriptions, bell cauldron inscriptions, stone drum inscriptions, and so on." Speaking of this, although Gu Baixian's words were polite, there was a faintly discernible pride in the corners of his eyes and brows. "Well, if you have time, I'd like to ask for your advice." Jiang Tian had just remembered the copy of the remnant scroll of the ruins of immortality that he saw at his grandfather's place, so he asked. He wondered if Gu Baixian could recognize the strange characters on the remnant map. But he came in a hurry and did not bring it with him. It would be great if he had a portable storage device. Whether it was a storage ring or a 100 treasures pouch, it would be more convenient to carry anything. "Old Gu, you're not feeling well. Go back first." Jiang Tian pondered for a moment. Seeing that Gu Baixian and his daughter were still looking at him inquiringly, he suddenly smiled and said, "Well, thank you, Mr. Jiang." Gu Baixian thanked him verbally, but there was a hint of reluctance on his face. He wanted to say something but stopped. Jiang Tian immediately understood and said indifferently, "Brother Zhao, escort Gu Baixian back to Yanjing. If anyone dares to hurt him, kill them without mercy." "Yes." Zhao Yuankuan stood up and replied. "Brother Wei, say hello to Wu Yingxiong. If he dares to harass Professor Gu again, I'll kill his whole family." Jiang Tian said indifferently. Wei Feilong hurriedly replied, "No problem. Thank you, Mr. Jiang. You're my savior." Gu Baixian held Jiang Tian's hand with tears in his eyes. It could be said that Jiang Tian was being a good person to the end and helping him to the east. For him, he did not hesitate to offend the martial arts Wu family. What kind of kindness was this? "Oh right." Jiang Tian asked again. "Do you have any fruits here? Peaches would be best. Also give me some yak meat." "What a coincidence. I do have some peaches. What do you want them for?" Gu Qingqing's face was filled with confusion. Then she suddenly realized something and said, "Oh right, you didn't bring any food, right? Since we're leaving, I'll leave these for you." After handing over the items, Gu Baixian and his daughter said goodbye and were about to return home. Jiang Tian suddenly looked at Gu Qingqing and smiled. "Oh right, is Yilin doing well?" "Yilin is still studying at Yanjing University. She's my dad's student. She's doing well, but she often misses you." Gu Qingqing looked at Jiang Tian reluctantly. She mustered up her courage and said, "Jiang Tian, you must come to Yanjing when you have time. See Yilin and me." "Yanjing. I'll definitely go." Jiang Tian sensed the longing in her eyes but did not take it to heart. Girls around her age would be curious and have a good impression of him when they saw his methods. Gu Qingqing packed her bags and quickly boarded the off-road vehicle to return home with her father, Zhao Yuankuan. After driving for a while, Gu Qingqing turned around and glanced at Jiang Tian. She saw that he was still standing there. For some reason, she felt a sense of loneliness and desolation from Jiang Tian. This feeling made her a little absent-minded. "I heard from Zhang Yilin that Jiang Tian lost his mind because a large family in Yanjing broke off their engagement. He must be feeling very bitter." Gu Qingqing still felt some bitterness in her heart. However, she immediately curled her lips and snorted coldly. "It's just that Jiang Tian suddenly became so powerful. I wonder if that blind young miss would cry from regret if she knew?" After Jiang Tian saw them off, he immediately said to Hu Qingtian and Zhao Yuankuan, "Let's go. Let's go take a look at the situation of the princess flower." "Master Kong, let's go." Before Hu Qingtian even finished his words, he had already shot toward Mount Everest like an arrow. He flew up and down on the snowy mountain like a skylark, full of spirit. "Old Hua, nice move." Jiang Tian carried a pressure cooker, a charcoal fire, an alcohol stove, peaches, yak meat, and other items. He took a seemingly slow step forward, but in reality, he covered more than 100 meters and soon caught up to Hu Qingtian. Mount Everest was a dangerous place for ordinary people. However, for Jiang Tian, it was as easy as walking on flat ground. If he hadn't deliberately slowed down, Hu Qingtian and Zhao Yuanquan wouldn't have been able to catch up. When Jiang Tian led Hu Qingtian and Zhao Yuanquan to the mountainside, it was already late at night. Suddenly, a strange scene appeared at the top of Mount Everest. In the sky, rays of multicolored light, like auroras, floated in the night sky like colorful ribbons. A natural phenomenon. Something important must have appeared. The princess flower is about to ripen. Jiang Tian squinted his eyes. A surge of divine sense rose like a monstrous wave and swept across thousands of meters of altitude toward the top of Mount Everest. When any important Dharma treasure or earth-shattering spirit fruit or medicine appeared, there would be a natural phenomenon. The first thing that came to Jiang Tian's mind was the princess flower. The princess flower is about to ripen? Then why don't we go and pick it? Hu Qingtian and Wei Feilong asked anxiously. Jiang Tian didn't say anything. He turned around with a stern face and sent another surge of divine sense toward Luo Zifeng. No, we should go to Luo Zifeng first and catch a monkey. Then we can make a pot of peach soup. Also, we need to go down the mountain and find a gong. After a while, Jiang Tian withdrew his divine sense and said leisurely. Catch a monkey? Make peach soup? That's strange. Hu Qingtian and Wei Feilong were confused. Shouldn't we go and find the princess flower first? I heard along the way that there are experts who want to snatch it. Don't worry, they can't take it away. Jiang Tian said calmly. Gu Baixian was right. Those notes are not legends or myths, they are history. There really was a golden-eyed battle ape who once broke through the void and came to this world from the immortal ruins. He sighed and said, also, we have underestimated the golden-eyed battle ape. It has become a demonic immortal. And an earth immortal at that. He has set up a sealing array around the princess flower. Let alone us, even a half-step immortal state warrior would be killed. Chapter 267. The golden-eyed battle ape clan had exceptionally strong physical bodies. They were hot-blooded, warlike, and arrogant. They were a very powerful clan even in outer space. A golden-eyed battle ape without any cultivation was already invulnerable to transcendent state cultivators, let alone a golden-eyed battle ape that had reached the earth-level deity level. He was as powerful as a deity. Even the sealing array he had left behind could not withstand the attack of a half-step immortal state cultivator. So powerful. Hu Qingtian and Wei Hua exclaimed in shock. They had witnessed Jiang Tian's power with their own eyes. He was at the peak of the transcendent state, or even half-step to the immortal state. And he was a cultivator of both Dharma spells and martial arts. However, he still couldn't pluck the DNYU flower. Don't worry about that for now. There's no time to lose. Let's split up. Elder Hua and I will catch the golden-eyed monkey and make peach soup. As for Wei Feilong, you hurry down the mountain and find a gong. Jiang Tian said lightly. Then we will meet at the top of Mount Everest. Remember, don't take the DNYU flower even if you see it. Otherwise you will lose your life. Yes. Although the two of them were confused, they didn't dare to ask more questions. They answered at the same time and went their separate ways. So the legend of the mystic realm of deity is true. Immortals really exist. Hu Qingtian and Wei Feilong's hearts were burning with excitement. They had been cultivating for their entire lives, but they were stuck at the peak of the transcendent state, and couldn't even reach the half-step immortal state. However, if they could follow Jiang Tian and enter the mystic realm of deity, wouldn't they be able to break through the shackles and become immortals? On the east side of Mount Everest, a group of about a dozen people was traveling on a snow-covered mountain path. Senior brother, is there really a treasure? A delicate and pretty disciple was walking swiftly on the precipitous rocks and ice blocks like a galloping horse, and he was panting as he asked. Yes, I am certain. I heard that a divine herb had appeared. Overlords from the east and the west are all here. The eldest senior brother, Wang Haitao, who was in his 40s, had a lean face, sword-like eyebrows, and was full of heroic spirit. He wore a Taoist robe and carried a long sword on his back. His sleeves fluttered in the wind as if he was a peerless swordsman who had walked out of a period drama. He had already traveled 30 kilometers, but his expression did not change. His breath was long and steady, showing his exquisite inner force cultivation. So many experts have come. That's good, let's let them experience the strength of our Dian Song. Junior brother Qing Xiu rubbed his fists. Eldest senior brother Wang Haitao's eyes flashed with a trace of fanaticism as he said, "They only think that the so-called catalyst spring water is valuable, but they don't know that the divine grass is the most valuable. If we pick them and offer them to Master, Master will definitely be able to break through to the deity realm. Everyone, hurry up and reach the summit." That's right, if we get the divine medicine and offer it to Master, Master will definitely reward us with medicinal pills and cultivation methods. Everyone was in high spirits and cheered each other on. His footsteps quickened as he climbed the mountain. Diansong sects more than 10 people climbed the mountain in a very special way. When they encountered a glacier that they could not climb, they would connect their heads and tails and climb up like a long centipede. Once they reached the top, the dozen or so people dispersed again. At the southern foot of Mount Everest, in the thick white fog, an A-Star B-3 helicopter produced by the European Helicopter Company was climbing and approaching the top of Mount Everest with its propellers breaking through the flying snow. This helicopter cost tens of millions, and it was the helicopter that could climb the highest altitude at that time. This model of helicopter had successfully reached the summit of Mount Everest before, but because the summit was too rugged, it did not land successfully. Moreover, this helicopter was completely modified into a military helicopter and was equipped with the M134 minigun, which was known as the God of Artillery. This was the fastest machine gun in the world, and it was even equipped with a few rocket launchers. It could be said that it was fully armed. On the cabin of the helicopter, there was an image of 2 bloody skeletons with 2 black wings. If there were people from the world's dark organizations here, they would definitely exclaim in surprise, because this was the symbol of the famous Black Wings mercenary group in Southeast Asia. We're almost there. That's the catalyst spring water. This time we must return with a full load. In the cabin, Oyila the heaven-reaching warrior, Batu the Black Wings, Tyson the giant elephant, and many other powerful mercenaries were sitting on the bench. They looked up at the summit of Mount Everest expectantly, like a money grubber who saw a pile of gold. Their eyes were burning with passion. At this time, Jiang Tian's divine sense had already scanned the area and found a cave on the mountainside of Mount Luo. This cave was surrounded by ice and snow, and white fog filled the air. Even a mystic in Lightning Realm cultivator would find it difficult to sense its existence. It is indeed a cave. The concealment array is not bad, but how can it hide from me? Jiang Tian flicked his finger repeatedly, causing numerous finger lights to shatter the ice and shatter the mountain rocks. After a wave of mist surged, it quietly dispersed, instantly revealing the true appearance of a stone cave. This cave is so big, Huaqing Tian exclaimed. The cave was located on top of a cliff. The entrance was more than 10 meters high and 5 meters wide. The cave was more than 100 meters deep, and it looked like a wild beast with its mouth wide open, ready to swallow them whole. Even though Huaqing Tian was a transcendent master, he felt small and powerless when he looked at the entrance of the cave. Jiang Tian and Huaqing Tian climbed the mountain rocks and stepped on the falling snow. After a few leaps, they arrived at the open platform at the entrance of the cave. This cave is not natural. It was cut by a sharp weapon. And the edge of the stone table was also cut by a sharp weapon. Standing at the entrance of the cave, Huaqing Tian found that the entrance of the cave was very smooth, and the ground inside the cave was also very smooth. It was not paved with stone bricks, and it made his heart skip a beat. Using a sharp weapon to cut open such a big hole was difficult even with modern technology, let alone the technologically backward Ming dynasty. This showed how powerful the golden-eyed battle ape was. An earth-level demonic immortal could break a mountain with one palm, and swallow a lake with one mouth, let alone open a cave. Jiang Tian walked into the cave with his hands behind his back and scanned the surroundings. The 4 walls of the main hall were carved with intricate reliefs. Most of them depicted gods, demons, monsters in myths and legends. Between the reliefs were inlaid jade stones and pearls, making the whole hall as bright as day. Under the illumination of the pearls, The lifelike reliefs seemed to have souls that were trying to break out of the walls. Below the ground was a vast expanse of whiteness. Upon closer inspection, there were hundreds of skeletons. Some of the bones had been completely crushed, and when the wind blew in, a cloud of dust rose into the air. A wave of yin qi permeated the cave. In the middle of the skeletons was a dried-up blood pool. The four walls of the pool were dark red and eerie. It gave off a chilling air, as if there were ghosts floating above it. Upon closer inspection, the stone table, stone chairs, and stone walls were covered with sword marks. It was clear that a great battle had taken place here. Are these the remains of the golden-eyed battle ape? Hua Qingtian's heart was already pounding when he saw these. He suddenly exclaimed and pointed to the side of the ancient cave. On a stone platform against the north wall of the cave, a giant ape more than 2.5 meters tall stood upright. It was covered in red fur and wore a golden armor. It wore a pair of black boots and a jade belt around its waist. It held an iron-gray iron staff in its hand. It bared its teeth and looked up at the sky. Its golden eyes were still angry and seemed to contain endless resentment and murderous intent. Dead but not fallen. His power still exists. Such a monstrous pressure emanating from a dead person is really shocking. Hua Qingtian's face was shocked. His eyes were wide open as he looked up at the ape's face. He felt very depressed. Even after hundreds of years, the ape still had a peerless domineering aura. It looked disdainfully at the world, making it seem like a demon god that suppressed the 9 heavens and 10 earths. This kind of domineering aura made Hua Qingtian breathless and frightened. It seems that the cultivation resources in the ruins of immortality are indeed extraordinary. It can even become an immortal through demon cultivation. Jiang Tian also sighed. He found that there were large words inscribed below the platform. My name is the Sacred Battle Ape. I became an immortal through demon cultivation, and was not tolerated by the world. Sigh. A demon had a brother who was trapped in a group of enemies. I fought back with my severely injured body. I defeated 3 immortals with my staff, but I was powerless and died together with them. My body is hidden in the demon cave of Nirvana. I am ashamed and sealed here. Regretful. Regretful. The line of words was vigorous and powerful, like dragons flying and phoenixes dancing. However, it also exuded a sorrowful aura. It moved one's soul and made one feel emotional. I see. Jiang Tian was also slightly moved. He said with deep emotion, it is 10 times or 100 times more difficult to enter the Tao as a demon than ordinary people. However, this ape was heroic. Not only did he enter the Tao, he could even kill immortals. How rare. Yes, when he was alive, his divine power was unparalleled and indomitable. After death, his immortal body was immortal and stood upright. His monstrous domineering aura did not dissipate for hundreds of years. He was indeed a peerless hero who looked down on the world. Jiang Tian was still able to maintain his composure, but Hua Qingtian was practically screaming. He was quite shocked. He also secretly sighed. No wonder Yi Zhantian and the other powerful cultivators in Wuxia liked to cultivate in seclusion, and did not care about the world. Compared to such a powerful force, what was the fame and wealth of the mortal world? At this time, Jiang Tian began to scan the ape's body with his divine sense. His divine sense penetrated the monstrous demonic aura and pressure. Jiang Tian brushed the hair on his head aside, and saw a sword hilt deeply embedded in his neck. A flying sword. Jiang Tian exclaimed. Jiang Tian slowly pulled out the sword. He saw that the sword was completely black and exuded a strange light. The light was cold and intimidating, and it was very heavy. Jiang Tian was shocked again. It's made of immortal tear black gold. This was definitely a flying sword. It was just that too much time had passed, and there was very little mana and spirituality left. However, immortal tear black gold was very rare even in outer space. It could be used to forge top-grade flying swords. No wonder this powerful ape demon was still killed by someone. He felt a surge of excitement. This trip was really worth it. The information provided by Gu Baixian was too important. The Heavenly Court. Suddenly, Jiang Tian was shocked again. He saw 2 small golden characters engraved on the sword hilt. It was very ancient and elegant. After seeing the copy of the Ruins of Immortality from his grandfather, he learned a lot of information about ancient characters. Although he could not decipher and recognize the characters on the copy, he could definitely recognize the golden characters. The Heavenly Court? What organization or person is this? Master Kong, could it be the Heavenly Court in the myths and legends? Hu Qingtian was very shocked. What he saw today had completely shattered his worldview. Even though he was experienced and knowledgeable, he could not think of a reason no matter how hard he racked his brain. Jiang Tian was speechless. You ask me, but who should I ask? Jiang Tian was very proficient in cultivation, but the problem was that he did not understand the cultivation world of Wuxia. When his master took him on the ancient path of the stars, they passed through the ruins of immortality and went straight into the depths of the universe. For his master, whose cultivation was already very high at that time, the ruins of immortality were not a challenge at all. Therefore, Jiang Tian knew nothing about the ruins of immortality. Chapter 268. Jiang Tian tossed the Heavenly Court sword to Hu Qingtian. He thought to himself, I'll erase the spiritual imprint on it and refine it into my own flying sword. My combat power will definitely multiply, and I'll be able to easily kill a half-step immortal state cultivator. Hu Qingtian was so touched that tears welled up in his eyes. He hurriedly said, Thank you, Master Kong, for giving me this treasure. You sure know how to take advantage of me. Jiang Tian glared at him. I didn't say I'm giving you this sword. It's useless to give it to you. Hold it for me first. Oh, I'm so sorry, Master Kong. Hu Qingtian was speechless. He was extremely embarrassed. You should have explained it clearly. You've made me happy for nothing. Then Jiang Tian removed the metal rod and the golden armor. This metal rod was made of a strange metal called golden essence metal. Although it was not as good as the immortal tier black gold, it was far better than any weapon material on Earth. There were many defensive patterns carved on the golden armor. It was also a Dharma treasure, but too much time had passed, and its dharmic powers had been lost. However, when Jiang Tian removed the golden armor and metal rod, the sacred battle ape skeleton seemed to have lost its support and instantly fell to the ground. It cracked and disintegrated, turning into white bones and dried up body parts. Jiang Tian was not surprised by this. The sacred battle ape relied on the armor and the remaining dharmic powers in the metal rod to maintain its physical body. Without them, it would have been reduced to ashes. However, he sighed again in his heart. It was really inconvenient to not have a storage dharma artifact. There were not many things here, and Hu Qingtian was almost unable to carry it all. Jiang Tian and Hu Qingtian searched carefully again. They did not find any concrete clues about the immortal ruins in this ancient cave, or the sacred battle ape skeleton. However, at least now Jiang Tian could confirm that the immortal ruins were real, and not just a vague legend. It's time to catch the monkey. Jiang Tian said calmly. Yeah, where's the monkey you're looking for? Hu Qingtian looked around in confusion. Don't worry. Jiang Tian ignited the charcoal and placed it on the pressure cooker. After the water boiled, he removed the pit of the peach and threw the yak meat into the cooker together with the skin and meat. After that, Jiang Tian added more medicinal herbs. Instantly, it turned into a pot of black soup. That's disgusting. Are we going to eat that? Hu Qingtian was puzzled. Everyone says that Master Kong is a wife-doting demon. Your culinary skills don't seem to be too good. Is this edible? Jiang Tian ignored him, but strangely enough, although the broth was ugly, there was a strong aroma coming from it. It immediately made Hu Qingtian salivate, and his fingers itched. It's disgusting, but I also want to eat it. This feeling was truly ecstatic. Hu Qingtian didn't dare to look anymore. It's not for us to eat. Let's lure the demon monkey's descendant first. It'll be of great use later. Jiang Tian used his divine sense to transmit his voice. He also cast a talisman into the peach broth and said, Put on the golden armor and pretend to be asleep. It has descendants. Hu Qingtian was stunned. He felt like he had been tricked. Why did it seem like he had become the bait? As expected, Jiang Tian restrained his aura and cast an invisibility talisman on himself. he instantly disappeared. As expected. I've become the bait. Huaqingtian wanted to cry, but no tears came out. However, he still obediently put on the golden armor and closed his eyes. The broth rippled with the fragrance. The ancient cave was quiet. Only the whistling of the wind outside the cave, and Huaqingtian's own rapid heartbeat could be heard. After 2 hours, there was a thump. 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 Footsteps that were as intimidating as muffled thunder, and a wave of bloody aura assaulted their faces. Huaqingtian was alarmed. He opened his eyes a little and almost screamed in fright before suffocating. He saw a 3-meter-tall giant red ape glaring at him with its golden eyes. Then, its venomous gaze swept across the naked sacred battle ape's corpse and landed on his armor and the iron staff in his hand. The giant ape was like a demon god. Its eyes shot out rays of sharp golden light, and its body was surrounded by a demonic aura. Its aura was terrifying. The demonic aura was so dense that even a drop of it could crush an internal force master. Suddenly, its face twisted. It bared its fangs and roared. It was like a cat catching a mouse. Its huge, fan-like palm covered in red fur grabbed at Huaqingtian. Master Kong, come out and fight the monster. Huaqingtian stomped on the ground and shot out while screaming for help. It could be said that he had never felt such a terrifying sense of danger, even when he was fighting against Lin Zhenyu. Whoosh! Dazzling sparks flew. The descendant of the battle ape's claws scratched Huaqingtian's stomach, leaving deep marks on the hard stone wall. If it had clawed Huaqingtian, he would have been seriously injured, if not killed on the spot. Get out of the way! Jiang Tian suddenly appeared behind the descendant of the battle ape. He waved his fingers and a demonic flame chi weapon swept toward the ape like a knife cutting through water. Bang! With a loud sound, the giant ape was immediately sent flying by Jiang Tian's sword strike, causing the ground to shake and the mountains to shake as it fell flat on its back. The giant ape got up and charged at Jiang Tian again. I will kill you if you don't stop. Jiang Tian let out a cold snort and slammed down with his palm again, directly slamming the body that was as heavy as a mountain into the ground. His knees smashed into the ground, shattering the rocks and creating a deep pit with a radius of 1 meter. Jiang Tian was amazed by the power of the battle ape. Although the descendant of the battle ape was small in size, it was a true primordial demonic beast. Moreover, it was an untainted demonic beast. It could not be compared to the white ape that Jiang Tian had killed in search of the life crystal. It was even 10 times or 100 times stronger. Jiang Tian knew that the ape's body was strong, so he used all of his strength. Even a transcendent state cultivator would have been smashed into pieces, but the attack didn't hurt the ape at all. Even the leaf fire chi weapon didn't injure it severely. Moreover, the ape had cultivated demon arts and was able to transform. Its combat power was equal to that of a grandmaster in the martial arts world. The ape roared and attacked again and again. Its combat power was monstrous. It punched and kicked, shattering the stone table and shaking the mountain. However, it couldn't hurt Jiang Tian at all. Jiang Tian countered every attack. The ape either knelt on the ground or flew away. In the end, the ape was so tired that it couldn't get up. Jiang Tian beat it until it was full of injuries. It knew that it was no match for Jiang Tian, so it didn't fight back. It sat on the ground and wiped its tears. It looked at the corpse of the battle-sacred ape with sadness and regret. Yes, it was very sad. Its expression was as vivid as a human's. As it cried, it moved forward and hugged the head of the battle-sacred ape, kissing and touching it. Tears rolled down its face. It looked up to the sky and pounded its chest, letting out a heart-wrenching cry. The ape seems to be very sad. Huaqingtian came over and said sympathetically, well, it probably thought that its ancestor wasn't dead yet. Jiang Tian smiled. This ape should have 100 years of cultivation. It wasn't as old as the red-eyed white ape, but it had already gained intelligence. Then Jiang Tian looked at the descendant of the battle-sacred ape and said calmly, your ancestor has been dead for a long time. What's the use of you guarding it here? The ape looked at Jiang Tian and became even sadder. It hugged the corpse and cried again. All right. Look at you. You're so hungry. Hurry up and eat some yak meat. Jiang Tian threw a big piece of yak meat to it. As if it felt Jiang Tian's kindness, It took the yak meat and ate it. However, it still cried sadly. There seems to be something in your stomach? Jiang Tian frowned when he saw that there was a bulge in its stomach. There were stitches on it, and pus was oozing out of it. The ape pointed at the sacred battle ape's corpse and then at its own stomach, making a sewing motion. Oh, I understand. Do you want me to help you take out the thing inside and treat the wound? Jiang Tian said with a smile. He had already understood something after using his divine sense. Woo 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 woo. The ape's face was filled with gratitude and joy. It pursed its lips and cheered. It kept kowtowing to Jiang Tian, seeming very willing to do so. Jiang Tian stepped forward and formed a chi weapon at his fingertips. He quickly peeled open the wound. There was a scroll made of animal skin inside. However, it was different from the words in the ruins of immortality that Jiang Tian had seen before. This is also a map. I don't know where it leads. Jiang Tian was not in a hurry. He let Huqing Tian take it first. This is the Nine Swords Immortals' tomb. The ape suddenly spoke in a muffled human voice. Damn, you know how to talk. Jiang Tian smiled. Huqing Tian was even more amazed. I'm not very good at it. There are very few Han people here. The ape struggled to speak again. Nine Swords Immortal. Old Hua, do you know who he is? Jiang Tian asked with a frown. I've never heard of him. He should be an ancient person. I'll look into it later. Huqing Tian shook his head. Enemy. He killed my ancestor. My father asked me to dig up his tomb and take revenge. However, I don't know where he is. The ape said with a hint of resentment. Fuck you, sacred battle apes are really daring. Very vicious. I like it. Jiang Tian praised. He took out a detoxification pill and crushed it. He mixed it with healing powder and sprinkled it on the wound. Then he threaded a needle and stitched it up. At this moment he already had some understanding. It seemed that the Nine Swords Immortal was from the heavenly court. He should be the culprit who killed the battle sacred apes. You're so nice. The ape looked at Jiang Tian gratefully with tears in its eyes. Affectionate. The ancient scroll in its stomach had tortured it for too long. Now that the pain was gone, it felt extremely relaxed and comfortable. Naturally, it was grateful to Jiang Tian. Don't look at me with such affectionate eyes. I'm scared. Jiang Tian glanced at it from the corner of his eyes. The ape was confused for a moment. Suddenly, it pointed at a red object and shook its head firmly. Haha. Huqing Tian laughed so hard that tears almost came out of his eyes. Fuck you. Jiang Tian was speechless. After treating the wound, Jiang Tian slowly said, If you want to thank me, then help me get the Empress flower. Is that okay? The ape bowed and nodded repeatedly. You're a beginner demon. You should be able to transform, right? Jiang Tian asked. The ape nodded again. Jiang Tian took off his down jacket and said, Shrink it and let me wear it. What do you think you look like when you walk around with your penis swinging around every day? The ape cast a spell and its body shrunk, turning into a small monkey the height of an adult's calf. After it was wrapped in a red down jacket, it no longer looked ferocious. Instead, it looked smart and cute, and it even looked comical. Chapter 269. Do you have a name? Jiang Tian asked. The little monkey spoke and gestured. It said that it was the fourth-generation descendant of the sacred battle ape. It only had 100 years of lifespan and had never seen a living sacred battle ape. Not long after it was born, its parents died and it did not have a name. Its ancestor was called Qi Aosheng, and its grandfather was called Qi Luozi. Poor baby. You lost your mother when you were young. How about I call you Monkey King? Jiang Tian asked with a smile as he beckoned the monkey to jump onto his shoulder. Awesome. The little monkey bowed and nodded. It seemed that it liked the name very much. No, you are not a Monkey King yet. You are just a little demon. Let's call you Monkey King. Jiang Tian stroked its head and said seriously. Good, good, good. This name is mighty and domineering. The little monkey squatted on Jiang Tian's shoulder and rubbed its head against Jiang Tian's ear happily. Jiang Tian was very happy that he had successfully fooled the descendant of the sacred battle ape. He asked, How is Brother Wei? I have already used the satellite phone to tell him our GPS coordinates. He will be here soon, Huqing Tian said. Sure enough, not long after, Wei Filong flew over with a copper gong in his hand and asked, Grandmaster Jiang, is this suitable? Yes. Jiang Tian took the gong and held up a bowl of steaming meat soup. I will go there alone. Don't show up. Even if you do, pretend that you don't know me. Why? The two of them did not understand. Treasures move people's hearts. Jiang Tian sighed. This imperial ladyflower is a spiritual item of heaven and earth. It is a divine herb. Whoever gets their hands on it will bring about countless disasters. Why should I add to the trouble? The two of you are too famous. If people follow your clues, they will definitely find me. That makes sense. We will help Master Kong in the dark. The two of them immediately understood. I'm afraid that the people at the top of Mount Everest are busy fighting for the D-Maiden flower. Jiang Tian walked out of the cave and looked up at the peak of Mount Everest. He let out a long sigh and shot towards the peak of Mount Everest. At the top of Mount Everest, the area was so vast that one could not see the end of it at first glance. The mountain rocks were towering and precipitous, and the snow was falling like goose feathers. In the middle of a valley, there was a simple and crude temple. The walls were made of mountain rocks, and the roof was covered with grass. There were only 3 small houses and a small courtyard. However, unlike other places, this place actually had a suitable temperature that was like a bright and beautiful spring day. Flowing springs gurgled, fragrant grass swayed, and there were even wild rabbits and deer running about within it. It had a circumference of 4 to 5 kilometers, and it was like a paradise of immortals. There were 3 men standing at the entrance of the small temple. One was an old monk in yellow robes, the other was a middle-aged man in white robes, and the last one was barefooted. This poor monk has been guarding this princess flower for more than 10 years. It's about to mature. Let's see who dares to snatch it from me. The old monk in yellow robes was Guru Qing Lian, the most eminent monk in India. He was wearing a kasaya and holding a purple gold Buddhist staff in his right hand. His aura was surging like the ocean, and his face was ferocious. Clearly he was not someone to be trifled with. Guru Qing Lian, the princess flower is about to mature tonight. If you can't break the seal, you won't be able to get it. The man in white robes had tanned skin and firm muscles, but he gave people a sense of flexibility and flexibility. I heard that many overlords are coming to snatch it. Why don't the 3 of us work together to break the seal and share it? Singh, you are already the most famous yoga guru in India. You are almost an immortal state cultivator in Wuxia. I didn't expect that you would also want to get your hands on the princess flower. Guru Qing Lian's eyes flashed coldly. Far from it. Singh meant lion in Indian. His eyes shone brightly and his curly hair looked like a lion's mane. He looked extraordinarily powerful. Singh smiled and said, I heard that many overlords from the Diansong sect in Wuxia and the Chinese society in Singapore are coming to snatch it. If you work with us, you might be able to share it. But if you don't work with us, I'm afraid you won't get anything. That's right. Guru Qing Lian, you have been guarding it for 10 years. How can you give it to an outsider? The man in gray said. He carried a shield on his back and a long blade in his hand. His clothes were also very strange. He was wearing an isosceles triangle sewn with cloth on his upper body and lower body, which looked like a pair of briefs. Large patches of shiny skin were exposed, and he was not afraid of the cold at all. He was an expert in the traditional Indian martial arts called Kalalipayat. The practitioners of this martial art were known as Gurukar. He was the most powerful martial arts master in India, and was comparable to the grandmasters in Wuxia. As he spoke, a rumbling boom akin to muffled thunder erupted in the sky, and all of the natural phenomena from before disappeared. The aurora-like 5-colored light receded, and the imperial maiden flower in the spring swayed before releasing bursts of red light, as if a Buddha had descended upon this world. The 3 of them widened their eyes and trembled with excitement. The princess flower was finally going to ripen. Whoever got it would be able to enter the immortal state and become the most powerful person in the world. He would be immortal and thousands of sects in the world would have to bow down to him. The princess flower was filled with red clouds and thousands of colorful lights. Rays of spirit qi like the first blooming of hongmeng filled the air. It made the three of them feel refreshed. The spirit chi and the light formed the shape of a red phoenix. It spread its wings and was about to take flight. Lord Buddha, God has eyes. The princess flower has finally ripened. Master Qing Lian put his palms together devoutly and chanted the name of Buddha. He was so excited that tears streamed down his face. This is the most precious treasure in the world. It's all mine. It's all mine. Sing's eyes were full of excitement, and his body was trembling. He could not wait to rush over and take it for himself. What are you waiting for? Let's break the restriction and get it together. The man in gray was excited and rubbed his palms. At this moment, several figures in Taoist robes flew over and stopped the three of them. Wang Haitao, who was the leader, sneered, "Haha, Master Qing Lian, this magic herb is located at the north foot of Mount Everest. It belongs to Wuxia. How can it fall into your hands? Let's go quickly before we start a massacre." "Who are you?" Master Qing Lian asked coldly in broken Chinese. "I'm Wang Haitao, the first disciple of the Diansong faction in Wuliang Mountain." Wang Haitao smiled. At this moment, the top masters of the Diansong faction also rushed over. They all held the hilts of their swords and looked at the three masters of India cautiously. "Oh, this princess flower is originally a spiritual treasure of heaven and earth. If you want it, just take it." Master Qing Lian put his palms together and smiled kindly. "Is that so?" Wang Haitao frowned and thought to himself, "Is there something wrong with this?" However, when he saw the princess flower, he was also envious. He pointed at the handsome junior brother and said, "Peng Jipei, you go and get the flower." "Yes, senior brother." Peng Jipei was so excited that his face was flushed and his heart was beating wildly. Plucking the princess flower and giving it to master would be a great merit. Now it had fallen into his hands. As he spoke, his body swayed and he used the swimming dragon body movement skill of the Diansong faction. He rose into the air and flew toward the princess flower. In fact, he was also worried that the people of India might have set up traps or hidden weapons. That was why his feet did not touch the ground. He flew like a swallow in the water. His speed was extremely fast, his posture was beautiful, and his movements were flexible. In an instant, he crossed a distance of more than 10 meters, and was only 3 meters away from the princess flower. Good. The people of Diansong faction cheered in unison. Even Wang Haitao nodded slightly in approval. Peng Jipei was only in his 20s, but he was also highly valued by Diansong faction. He was an elite disciple and already had the cultivation of advanced stage internal force. However, at this moment, a purple lightning bolt appeared out of nowhere and struck Peng Jipei's body like a purple python. Peng Jipei did not even have time to scream before he turned into a pile of ashes and fell into the grass and spring. Hiss! Everyone from the Diansong sect sucked in a breath of cold air at the same time. Their faces were pale, and their hearts were pounding. The shock of seeing their former fellow disciple turn into a pile of ashes in an instant was unbearable. "Senior, isn't this too vicious?" Wang Haitao glared at Master Qing Lian and shouted, "Senior, if you want to give it to someone else, why did you set up a trap? Using schemes to kill people, is this the way of a monk?" No, this is not my array." Master Qing Lian put his palms together and chanted the name of Buddha. He smiled faintly and said, "Didn't your master tell you that the princess flower is a spiritual item of heaven and earth and has a natural restriction? It's just that I didn't expect it to be so powerful." "Brother Wang, you're too reckless." At this moment, another figure leaped over. It was an old man in a green robe with white hair and beard. He was very old, about 80 years old, but he was very domineering and arrogant. He looked at the world with disdain and arrogance. Moreover, his eyes were shining like divine lightning, and his tall body was extraordinarily mighty, just like a male lion or ferocious tiger. "Senior Wu, you're here?" Wang Haitao was slightly stunned. Then he showed some respect and saluted. The old man was Wu Yingxiong, the overlord of the Southwest. He was a transcendent grandmaster, and was as famous as Hu Qingtian and Yi Wudao. He had been working hard for decades and had dominated the Yunnan Guizhou Plateau. Besides, he had a good relationship with many Gu sects in the southwest, which made him very difficult to deal with. Diansong was a semi-hidden sect, so the sect leader of Diansong had the right to ignore Wuxia. However, Wang Haitao was only an initial success transcendent state cultivator. Haitao, don't be in such a hurry. First, there is the restriction. Second, there are enemies outside. Let's work together. Wu Yingxiong strode over, completely ignoring Wang Haitao. Even Grand Scholar Qing Lian was disdainful. He then gestured at the two young men behind him and said, "Young Lording, young Magus God, please take a look." Silent Shadow, the young sect leader of the House of Shadowblight. Young Magus God, the young sect leader of the Ghost Magi sect. The people of Diansong were all secretly shocked. They looked at each other and revealed expressions of dread. Chapter 270. Soundless Shadow was wearing a black cloak that hid his face. Wisps of black poisonous gas swirled around his body, obscuring his face. Only his jade-white chin could be seen. Wherever he went, the black smoke would fill the air with deadly poison. Suddenly, the plants around him withered and the flowers withered. Young Sorcerer God was wearing a long robe and a mandarin jacket. He was wearing a pair of brocade shoes and an antique gold pocket watch. He was wearing a pair of antique round glasses and a yellow bowler hat. He looked just like a prince from the Republic of China. The House of Shadowblight and the Ghost Witch sect were both mysterious sects and practiced the most powerful dark arts. Moreover, both of them were top talents of their respective sections. Both of them had reached the ethereal enlightenment level and were as powerful as transcendent grandmasters in martial arts. Besides, the Dharma spells, especially the evil arts, were unpredictable and hard to defend against. The two of them could easily kill an initial transcendent state cultivator, so it was hard to defend against. Young Divine Shaman's demeanor was extremely frivolous. Although he was walking around the Dinu flower, he did not forget to flirt with the female disciples of the Diansong sect, thinking that he was a playboy. Meanwhile, Soundless Shadow waved his hands in the air and made a series of hand seals. Wisps of black poisonous gas spread out and seeped into the ground. Meanwhile, a few more overlords from the western continent and Wuxia had arrived at the area. In a blink of an eye, there were at least 50 overlords. In the end, young Magus God took out a jade talisman and said confidently, "This is a powerful thunder anomaly. However, I have a supreme-grade protective jade talisman. It can withstand an attack from an immortal state cultivator. I will go get the flower." "Young Magus God, please. The old man will be your backup. You have to give the old man a piece of the flower." Wu Yingxiong looked around, his eyes fierce and his temperament intimidating, warning everyone not to act rashly. "Whoever dares to touch the princess flower will die." Soundless Shadow also spoke out, intimidating everyone. "Let's see who dares to take it from me." Young Magus God snorted disdainfully. He tightened his grip on the jade talisman and walked toward the crown princess flower. Sure enough, when he was 3 meters away from the princess flower, there was a loud boom as a bolt of lightning struck him. Yes. Young Sorcerer God groaned as his body trembled, and he took a step back. At the same time, a faint golden light shield was emitted from the jade talisman, completely enveloping him. Is the princess flower really going to belong to him? Grandmaster Qing Lian frowned, his face full of unwillingness. If he takes it out, we'll kill him and take his treasure. Sing and the gray-clothed middle-aged man had murderous looks in their eyes as they whispered to each other. Some were jealous, some were secretly cursing the young witch god to be struck to death by lightning. Even if they couldn't get it themselves, they couldn't let anyone else have it. Some sighed, and some were thinking about how to curry favor with the young witch god, so that they could have a share of the loot. However, all of them looked at the princess flower with envy. Young Divine Warrior took a step back, and the purple lightning disappeared. He wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and forced a smile. It's only so. My jade talisman can withstand it. Today, I'm going to pluck the Imperial Daughter flower. As soon as he finished speaking, he once again stepped forward like a tiger pouncing on its prey. He charged into the circle and reached for the DNV flower. At this moment, a strange phenomenon occurred. Many golden talisman inscriptions appeared in the air and formed a sharp sword. The sword was at least 10 meters long, and it was so heavy that it looked like a real sword. The sword slashed down at the young witch god's head. Young witch god, watch out! Wu Xiong's eyes narrowed as he shouted. Is that an array? It's so powerful. Everyone was pushed back by the sharp sword chi. They felt their blood boiling in their chests, but luckily they didn't spit out blood. With a loud bang, young witch god was sent flying 10 meters away by the giant golden sword. He fell to the ground like a dead dog. Crack. The jade talisman cracked. He spat out a mouthful of blood and screamed in pain. Damn it. That jade talisman is the most precious treasure of my faction. Young witch god held the broken jade talisman in his hand. He was so frustrated that he wanted to cry. SSS. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Their hearts were pounding as they deeply felt the power of this array. It could even break a supreme-grade protection jade talisman. The power of the array was comparable to that of an immortal state warrior. I don't think I can get it out by myself. Wu Xiong rolled his eyes and thought to himself. Let me try. Master Green Lotus chanted Buddha's name and walked 3 meters into the array. However, as soon as he entered the array, he backed away. At this moment, a giant golden palm descended from the sky. It was furry and carried a monstrous power as it slapped towards Fire Lotus. Break! Master Green Lotus lashed out with his palm and tried to shatter the golden palm. Boom! The two of them collided. With a loud bang, Master Qing Lian was sent flying more than 10 meters away like a falling leaf in the wind. He landed on the ground with a pale face. Blood boiled in his chest and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. So powerful. This is terrifying. Everyone exclaimed. Their eyes were filled with fear. Fire Lotus Grand Master was the most powerful man in India, and was as powerful as a transcendent state cultivator. He was even more powerful than Lin Zhenyu internationally, yet he couldn't break the spell. Are we just going to watch the D-Daughter flower rot in front of us? Master Green Lotus's face darkened. He had never thought that the spell would become so powerful when the D-Daughter flower matured. He was not confident that he could break the spell. What is that? Deity? Monster? Suddenly, everyone gasped and backed away. Vaguely under the ice and snow, the crowd could see pieces of jade emitting rays of light, forming a giant golden figure that was more than 10 meters tall. It looked like a Buddha god, and it suddenly appeared behind the princess flower. This is not a ghost god. It is the remaining divine soul of the guardian of the D-Daughter flower. I heard that it had surpassed the immortal state, and was an earth-level deity. Master Green Lotus's body shook a little. He put his palms together and bowed to the divine soul with reverence. No wonder the spell is so powerful. So there is an earth-level deity's divine soul here. Wu Xiong also looked at the tall golden ape with a cold gaze. Immortal state overlords were rare in the world, not to mention the divine soul of an earth-level deity. No wonder it was so powerful. The tall figure was shrouded in a golden light. It was made out of light spots, making it difficult to see clearly. Everyone could vaguely see that it was baring its fangs and glaring eyes. Its majestic body exuded a murderous aura that made it difficult for people to breathe. Back off. Kill all those who covet it. The remnant soul let out an angry roar that shook the heavens and the earth. The roar broke the ice and shattered the wind and snow. Everyone was thrown off their feet. Many of the iron body and internal force cultivators spat out blood as their meridians were damaged. Even Grand Master Green Lotus and Wu Xiong, who were the most powerful men in the world, staggered backward. Their faces were awful, and their bulging defenses and gales were almost shattered. Then the golden light shrunk and the divine soul disappeared again. Only the wind and snow were left in the world, and the D-Daughter flower swayed gently. That is terrifying. Is that the power of an immortal state overlord? It's just a roar from a remnant soul. And even an internal force master almost died. Someone was trembling in fear. What should we do? With the divine soul guarding it, none of us can take it away. We can only watch as the Empress flower rots. Someone said with an anxious expression, as if he was an ant on a hot pan. Why don't we join forces with the other overlords in Wuxia and break the array together? Singh rolled his eyes. The man in gray said in Hindustani, then we can kill them all and take the D-Daughter flower for ourselves. After the three of them had reached an agreement, Master Green Lotus and Wu Yingxiong reached an agreement. They would work together to break the array and share the D-daughter flower among themselves. Suddenly, a figure walked toward them and said slowly, "What a bunch of trash. You can see the treasure, but you can't take it away. What a joke. If I had known you were so useless, I wouldn't have been in such a hurry." "Who is that?" "Shut up. What shameless boasting. Take it away if you have the ability." "Shut up. Even Master Green Lotus and young Divine Magus God can't do anything about it. You're so good at bragging. Why don't you go to heaven?" Everyone turned around and glared at the newcomer. This person's words simply scolded everyone present. "You all want to break the array and share the divine medicine, right?" He saw a handsome young man, wearing a white shirt and casual pants, with a gong in his hand, lazily walking over. However, to everyone's surprise, there was a red-haired monkey sitting on his shoulder. The monkey was holding a pot of meat soup in a pressure cooker. Is he trying to fool around with the monkey on Mount Everest? He sure has a lot of time on his hands. Do you still want to eat meat here? What a waste of time. Many people looked at Jiang Tian with mocking expressions, their eyes filled with mockery. It was as if they were looking at an idiot. "I am Wu Yingxiong of Kuan City, and this young man is..." Wu Yingxiong saluted with his fists in front of his chest. This young man could climb to the top of Mount Everest without wearing any clothes. Wu Yingxiong had never seen such a person in Wuxia's martial arts world, so he was cautious. "You are Wu Yingxiong?" Jiang Tian said calmly, "Who I am is not important. Answer my question first." Wu Yingxiong furrowed his brows and suppressed the displeasure in his heart. "That is correct." Jiang Tian nodded and said, "Does that mean that if I can pluck the imperial lady flower, it will be mine?" "Hee, if you can pluck it yourself, you can do it without our help," Wu Yingxiong said in a deep voice. Seeing Jiang Tian disrespect him again and again, he was furious in his heart. "You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." Yes. That's right." Everyone had the same thought and nodded. Someone even egged him on. "Go and pluck it. It will be yours if you pluck it." Jiang Tian sent a message to Qitian Monkey with his psyche, and Qitian Monkey walked forward with the meat soup in his hands. Jiang Tian slammed the gong and shouted, "The fourth generation of the Saint Battle Ape, Sun Qitian, remembers the glory of our ancestors and remembers the great contributions of our ancestors. Today, I bring my servants and offer sacrifices to the sacred battle ape, Qi Aosheng, the ancestor of the Qi family of Luo Zifeng, and Qi Luozi, the second ancestor of the Wu family. Our descendants are here to remember our ancestors. Our ancestors are the small demons of this place. Our descendants are here to pray for forgiveness. All sages, please make way." "What is he doing? Is he dancing?" Everyone discussed animatedly with a puzzled expression, looking at Jiang Tian as if they were looking at an idiot. Chapter 271. It's here again. Retreat. Suddenly, amidst the exclamations of the crowd, the giant golden statue appeared again, and there were 3 or 4 smaller golden figures flashing around them. A domineering aura that was several times stronger than before swept across the area. The golden figures stared at Jiang Tian and the little monkey from all directions. They were motionless, and their eyes were flickering with golden light. For a moment, danger surrounded them. The experts were so scared that they retreated, afraid that these powerful remnant souls would attack Jiang Tian and bring disaster to the innocent bystanders. Hua Qingtian and Wei Feilong, whose faces were covered by the black cloth, were frightened. Their bodies were tense, and their fists were clenched tightly. They were waiting for the golden figures to react, and then they would attack together and fight side by side with Jiang Tian. My Qi family's ancestors once had a steel rod and golden armor that were passed down from generation to generation. They are the family heirlooms to prove our lineage and identity. Jiang Tian shouted, and everyone was shocked. If they didn't know, they would have thought that he was a priest. Under Jiang Tian's gaze, Hua Qingtian and Wei Feilong stepped forward and knelt on the ground. One of them raised the steel rod, and the other raised the golden armor. For a moment, the atmosphere seemed to have frozen. The two of them held their breaths. Once the situation was bad, they would immediately kill, and then rush out of the encirclement and escape. This solemn atmosphere lasted for a while. Finally, as the little monkey shook the peach soup a few times, the soup dispersed. The golden figures took a few breaths, and then slowly extinguished and dissipated. Jiang Tian jumped up and down again. He hummed and sang, "I am the servant of equal to heaven. Today, in the name of equal to heaven, I accompany the ancestors to worship. I invite the ancestors to taste the heavenly soup, and reward them with the princess flower to help them reach the peak of cultivation, and become immortal or God. Great Sun equal to heaven. Good name. Remember, don't forget to take revenge for me. Dig up that bastard's grave." A mighty and domineering voice sounded. It seemed to be filled with gratification and sadness. Then the giant golden ape opened its mouth and swallowed all of the peach meat soup's faintly discernible aura into its stomach. At this time, the Tao heavenly soup was also producing shocking phenomena. There were dragon roars, phoenix cries, and all kinds of horrifying scenes in the pressure cooker. Sometimes it reflected the underworld, sometimes it showed ghosts, and sometimes it showed ferocious beasts. The soup water rippled as if ferocious beasts were about to rush out of the soup. This remnant soul of mine has persisted for too long, and is very tired. It's time for it to disappear. Qi Tian, take the princess flower. In the end, the tallest golden statue, which had been guarding the princess flower closely, finished absorbing all of the soup. With a sigh, it slowly disappeared. Right at this moment, Jiang Tian's figure flickered, and he directly uprooted the princess flower at lightning speed before stuffing the roots into a long-necked jade bottle that was carved with strange runes. Jiang Tian picked up the little monkey and rushed down the mountain without looking back. "Let's go." "What? He uprooted it just like that?" Everyone exclaimed in disbelief. Hua Qingtian and Zhao Yuanquan hurriedly followed, their left hands guarding the flower. They asked in confusion, "Sir, how did you do that?" "This is the territory of the sacred battle apes," Jiang Tian's divine sense said. "This is the place where the dragon veins intersect and meridians are formed. It's a wondrous place. It's not something a feng shui treasure land can compare to. How can the sacred battle apes give up on such a good place? He planted the princess flower here to share the spiritual qi of heaven and earth, and also to guard the princess flower, so that his descendants can enjoy it when it matures. However, they have too few people, and their heritage has been cut off. Qi Tian can't defeat Master Green Lotus, so what can he do? He can't get close and can't get the princess flower. The sacred battle apes are forever guarding it. Of course, these people can't get close. I saw the stone carvings in the cave just now. One of them was the sacrificial ceremony of their people. In order to get the princess flower, one needs peach meat soup, a copper gong, a token, and descendants. None of these 4 things can be missing. Fortunately, we managed to gather all of them by chance. Otherwise, with our strength, we would definitely not be able to defeat the remnant soul of the sacred battle ape. Jiang Tian did not tell the whole truth. In fact, he had encountered the sacred battle apes in outer space before. He had learned more about the sacrificial ceremony at that time. Seeing that the sacred battle ape's remnant soul had been destroyed and Jiang Tian had plucked the princess flower, everyone's expression changed drastically. There was no longer any fear or hesitation in their eyes. There was only one word: greed. "Kid, leave the princess flower behind." The eldest disciple of Diansong, Wang Haitao, was the first to lose his cool. He jumped out and blocked the way. "Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Who do you think you are?" Jiang Tian found it funny and said disdainfully, "Didn't you say that if I pluck it alone it belongs to me? I'm the eldest disciple of the semi-hidden sect, Diansong, Wang Haitao. My junior brother, Peng Jipei, has already lost his life in order to obtain the princess flower. He contributed greatly to breaking the seal and sacrificed himself. How can we not get a share of the loot?" Wang Haitao's face was full of arrogance as he coldly snorted, "Hurry up and hand over the new flower. My Diansong sect is a famous sect and will definitely not treat you unfairly. Wealth, beauties, and even martial Dao cultivation methods and great medicines are inexhaustible. If you don't hand it over, I will definitely not let you off." "Haha, what bullshit Diansong hidden sect. Cultivation techniques and herbs? In my eyes, it's nothing. Scram. Jiang Tian snorted disdainfully and did not stop walking. Eldest senior brother, why are you talking nonsense with him? Just kill him and take the treasure. A female disciple with a beautiful face and a slender figure said. Her white robe fluttered in the wind like a fairy, but her words were mean and vicious. She raised her eyes and pulled out her sword. She shot toward Jiang Tian like an arrow. At the same time, the sword chi swept toward Jiang Tian like a waterfall. A semi-hidden sect with an orderly inheritance and a large number of talents. She was also an expert of the initial transcendent state, and was very powerful in the mortal world. She struck out with a single strike, and it tore through the wind and snow. Sword lights surged continuously as they pressed down and enveloped a large expanse of space, and it gave others the feeling that it was impossible to avoid or guard against. Scram. However, Jiang Tian only snorted coldly in response, and then he simply slapped out with his palm. Bang. With a loud bang, the girl didn't even have time to scream before her delicate face was smashed into pieces. In the midst of the blood, her delicate body flew out horizontally. After landing on the ground, she rolled more than 10 meters away. Her clothes were stained with blood and torn. Her lofty chest and jade-like slender thighs were dripping with blood. She had died a violent death. Haha, Dian Song, is it very powerful? You keep saying that Dian Song is very powerful, but in my opinion, it's just SOSO. Jiang Tian sneered and handed the princess flower and the jade bottle to the little monkey on his shoulder. He rubbed his hands and sneered. If there's anything special about it, it's just that her skin is thick enough. A girl's skin is harder than a cow's skin and thicker than the corner of a city wall. It's so hard that my hand hurts. This person is so powerful. He killed Wang Fong with one slap. He's definitely a transcendent grandmaster. He's so powerful. He even dared to kill Dian Song from a semi-hidden sect. He's so domineering. The members of Dian Song and many other overlords couldn't believe their eyes. They were stunned by Jiang Tian's powerful cultivation, and even more frightened by Jiang Tian's domineering aura. A semi-hidden sect was far more powerful than a normal martial arts family. Especially Dian Song, which was located in the Wuliang mountain, had a long history of martial arts and countless disciples. It could be said that Dian Song alone was comparable to the power of the Huaxiaolong formation. Princess Flower. Young Grandmaster. He's Kong Teichu. Wu Yingxiong frowned and thought. Suddenly, his face changed dramatically and he let out a scream. He looked at Jiang Tian incredulously. Although he had never seen Jiang Tian before, the news of Jiang Tian's search for the Princess Flower had spread far and wide. There were only a few young grandmasters in Wuxia. Plus, with such a domineering personality, he immediately guessed Jiang Tian's identity. He's Kong Teichu, the #1 martial arts grandmaster? Even Lin Jinyu was killed by him? Many people present were shocked. Didn't we just say that if I took it with my own strength, it would belong to me alone? Now you're jealous and going back on your words? Jiang Tian looked around at the crowd with a mocking face. He sneered and said with incomparable killing intent. Let me tell you, I've been thinking about this princess flower for more than a year. I'm determined to get it. Who dares to fight for it? Die. Attack together. I'm not afraid. I don't mind killing all of you. He doted on his wife. Relying on the princess flower to change her physique was the only hope for his beloved wife to embark on the path of cultivation. If the crowd wanted to fight for it, he wouldn't hesitate to kill them all. This treasure was originally obtained by him alone. If these overlords wanted to fight for it, they would be too shameless. Kong Teichu, did you cripple my grandson Wu Tianquan's cultivation? Wu Yingxiong shouted angrily. So what if I did? Jiang Tian sneered. If you have the guts, come and bite me. I'm already being polite by not killing him. Kong Teichu, you may be strong, but I'm not afraid of you. Wu Yingxiong took a step forward and said angrily. He was arrogant and unruly. Although he had heard of Jiang Tian's prowess, he had never seen it with his own eyes. He didn't believe in Jiang Tian's strength. Besides, his grandson's cultivation had been crippled. This was a blood feud. He hated Jiang Tian to the core. I heard that you're the #1 martial arts grandmaster under the immortal realm. I wonder if you can resist the poison gas of the House of Shadow Blight? Ing said coldly. He took a step forward. Black gas lingered between his fingers and palms, and poisonous gas rolled. Hee, you are so powerful. Even if you can fight Yi Zhantian, the three of us can still defeat you. Hand over the D-Daughter flower, or I will kill you. Young divine warrior shook his head. He didn't take the name Kong Teichu to heart. They were all powerful cultivators who had killed transcendent grandmasters before. Even if they couldn't kill Jiang Tian with ease, they could at least snatch the D-New flower from him. Kong Teichu, you are so arrogant. The three of them were only a threat, but Wang Haitao had already made his move. Clang. D pulled out his sword and shouted angrily, Junior martial brothers and sisters, listen to my command and form the sword formation. Clang. Clang. The sound of swords being unsheathed filled the air. In a blink of an eye, all the disciples of Dian Song had unsheathed their swords and formed a sword array. At the peak of Mount Everest, the wind blew and snow froze. However, what was colder than the wind and snow was the sword aura and the killing intent. Chapter 272. Whoosh. Whoosh. These sword lights seemed to have materialized and were extremely sharp. They could cut through metal and iron, and they formed a 10-meter-long sharp sword. It was like the Milky Way descending from the 9 heavens as it slashed down towards Jiang Tian with an unstoppable momentum. Whoosh. 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 The 19 whoosh. 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 Many of the experts present were dumbfounded, as if they had seen a ghost. So powerful. Wu Yingxiong's face changed dramatically, and he already had the intention to retreat. This kid is so strong, no wonder he can be called the #1 master under the immortal realm. Soundless Shadow was also shocked. Don't attack first. Don't be rash. Young sorcerer god's eyes were filled with fear. Although he coveted the princess flower, he didn't want to provoke Jiang Tian, so he reminded everyone not to be impulsive. For a moment, the masters of Wuxia all retreated and watched from the sidelines, casting their gazes on the 3 masters of India. Who else wants to fight with me, Kong Teichu? Come on. Jiang Tian stood on top of the ice and snow. His gaze was stern as he scanned the crowd. He was like an emperor who commanded the world, emitting a domineering aura that overflowed the sky. On the summit of Mount Everest, it was dead silent. Only the sound of the wind and snow could be heard. This poor monk once guarded this princess flower for 10 years, fertilizing and watering it. I wanted to wait for this princess flower to mature, and use it to save the poor people of India who were caught in the plague. I wonder if Master Jiang can achieve the beauty of a grown man? Guru Qinglian stepped forward and chanted the name of Buddha. He looked like an enlightened monk. Although his words sounded nice, it was obvious that he wanted to monopolize the princess flower. The princess flower is a spirit flower. Why would it need your help? Jiang Tian snorted and rejected the challenge. He sneered and said, What does the life and death of the Indians have to do with me? The people of India are suffering from the plague and suffering from the plague. Guru Qinglian's face darkened and he said, God is benevolent. How can Master Kong be so cruel and heartless? How can you monopolize the princess flower for your own personal gain? Stop talking nonsense, stupid monk. If you want to take it, just come at me. Jiang Tian linked his hands behind his back. A cold light flickered in his eyes as he sneered. I don't mind killing the 3 overlords of India. Killing you is as easy as killing chickens. Guru, why are you wasting your breath on him? Just kill him. As he shouted, the gray-robed man moved like an agile cheetah. He held a shield in his left hand and a saber in his right. He kicked up 1,000 piles of snow and charged out. His saber swept toward Jiang Tian's legs. This saber light was like a silver bottle bursting out of water. It was extremely fast and contained a strange aura. Layers of saber shadows were blooming in the air, connecting into a large area. The sharp Dao Qi shattered the boulders around them. The surface of the boulders was as smooth as a mirror. What a powerful blade aura. This man is the Gurukar of India. He is as powerful as a transcendent grandmaster in Wuxia. Everyone exclaimed, their eyes filled with shock. Even Wuxia was taken aback. He wondered what he would do if he were in Jiang Tian's position. The blade light flashed as Jiang Tian jumped into the air, dodging the attack instantly. However, the gray-robed man was not scared at all. Instead, he was happy. He suddenly changed the direction of his blade, and the cold blade light drew a strange arc in the air, aiming at Jiang Tian's legs. The man in a gray outfit had timed his attack perfectly. If Jiang Tian landed on the ground, his legs would have been severed. Jiang Tian did land on the ground. However, what shocked the man in a gray outfit was that Jiang Tian's foot landed squarely on the blade of his blade. How is that possible? The man in a gray outfit exclaimed as if he had seen a ghost. Useless. How dare you use a blade? I can kill you with a flick of my finger. Jiang Tian snorted disdainfully. He flicked his finger, and a ray of light pierced through the air. The man in a gray outfit was alarmed when he saw the ray of white light coming at him. He quickly raised his shield to protect his vital organs. Block for me. The man in a gray outfit shouted at the top of his lungs. His waist and horse became one as his body sank. His feet broke through the snow and mountain rocks. His sturdy legs sank into the ground like two iron pillars. At the same time, the black muscles on his body bulged. The muscle fibers on his arms condensed into bundles and gathered the most powerful force to block Jiang Tian's attack. Bang! There was a thunderous sound, shattering the wind and snow and shocking the overlapping clouds in the sky. Under the flick of the finger, the shield made of special metal shattered like paper. The flick of the finger pierced through the shield and hit the man in a gray outfit in the chest. The man in a gray outfit flew back more than 10 meters like a kite and fell heavily on the ground. There was a bowl-sized bloody hole in his chest. Blood kept spurting out, revealing the white bones. His eyes were still open, but he was bleeding from all 7 orifices. He couldn't be more dead. So powerful. This flick of the finger is comparable to a Barrett sniper rifle. That's terrifying. He broke 19 swords in one breath, killed 12 of his disciples and injured 7. He destroyed the divine shield with one flick of the finger, and killed the #1 master of Gurukul in India. That's too terrifying. Everyone at the scene was terrified. Even Wuxia was stunned by Jiang Tian. He felt that Jiang Tian was really like a god. I've said it before. I'm determined to get the princess flower. I'll kill anyone who tries to snatch it. Jiang Tian looked at Qing Lian and Xing and sneered. Come on, don't waste time. Come at me together. When he went up the mountain, he was worried that others would covet the princess flower and cause trouble for Qing'er and the Jiang family in the future. So he changed his name. Jiang Tian didn't want to kill anyone. Everyone was just fighting for the treasure. There was no deep hatred between them. But now Wuxia had shouted out his name. If everyone still wanted to snatch it, then there was nothing he could do. He could only beat them until they knelt down and surrendered. They would never dare to have such thoughts again. At this moment, even Master Green Lotus and Xing were a little hesitant. Their cultivations were much stronger than the gray-robed man, but Jiang Tian's strength was also very impressive, which made them somewhat wary. Master Kong is indeed Master Kong to be able to suppress the 3 most powerful people in India by himself. Yeah, we can't compare to him. Seeing this, Hua Qingtian and Wei Feilong immediately felt great. They were elated and full of confidence. Qing Lian, the elites of the Chinese faction of Singapore are here to lend you a hand. It was at this moment that a loud shout broke through the heavy snow and clouds in the sky like rolling thunder. Who's there? What a powerful aura and sound wave. Everyone looked up in shock. Whoosh, whoosh. A helicopter was flying toward them. One figure after another jumped down from the helicopters that were hovering more than 10 meters above the ground. Like galloping horses, they kicked up rolling snow and rushed to the battlefield like white dragons. Oyila the heaven-reaching master, Batu the Black Wing, Tyson the Elephant and many other overlords of the Chinese faction of Singapore showed up. Why are they here? Hua Qingtian and Wei Feilong couldn't hold back the smile on their faces any longer. It was replaced by a worried look. These 3 Chinese faction of Singapore had been taught by Wang Chongyan. They were as powerful as transcendent state martial arts grandmasters, or ethereal enlightenment spell masters. In addition to Guru Qinglian and Singh, it could be said that all the powerhouses in Southeast Asia were here. It was a super luxurious lineup. It could be said that Lin Zhenyu, who was killed by Jiang Tian on Poyang Lake, was only as famous as Fire Lotus. However, he was not the only one here. Oyila and many other more powerful masters were also here. Is Master Kong a match for them? Hu Qingtian murmured in his mind. Although Jiang Tian was powerful, he was alone. How could he defeat a dozen overlords? Not to mention, Oyila and Fire Lotus were on par with him. Do you want to die as well? Jiang Tian sneered and scanned the members of the Chinese faction of Singapore. Oyila wasn't in a hurry to fight with Jiang Tian. Instead, she went to Qinglian and discussed with him. Qinglian and the other overlords knew how powerful Jiang Tian was, so they didn't want to make the first move. Therefore, they chose to stay away from Jiang Tian. Oyila, on the other hand, was a heretical cultivator, so she didn't like Fire Lotus. Therefore, she needed to come up with a strategy first. After a short discussion, the two sides came to an agreement. They would kill Kong Techu and share the princess flower with the rest of the Southeast Asian overlords. Oyila tapped her cane on the ground and glared at Jiang Tian. She sneered and said, Kong Techu, I have heard that you are very powerful. You even killed Basong of Kuantian. Very well. Today, I will use my supreme Dharma spells to defeat you, Kong Techu. You think you are the most powerful overlord in Wuxia? We have so many overlords here. Even if you are an immortal state warrior, you will die here today. Black-winged Batu sneered. Chapter 273. Hee, I can't wait to tear him to shreds. Giant elephant Tai Sang clenched his fists. His bell-like eyes flashed with murderous intent as he exuded a bloodthirsty aura. I don't want to hurt anyone, but for the poor and sick people of India, I can only kill. Master Qinglian put his palms together and chanted Buddha's name. He had the moral high ground and said murderously, If I don't go to hell, how can I become a Buddha? Kong Techu is too arrogant. Even if he is the #1 grandmaster in Wuxia and killed Lin Zhenyu, how can he be a match for so many people? Ancient yoga master Singh crossed his arms and sneered. The princess flower and many catalytic spirit liquids involved too much profit. It was enough to create an army of steel and catalyze many arcanists. It could even make a peerless figure like Fire Lotus Master Wang Chongyan step into the immortal state. How could they let Jiang Tian monopolize it? Especially the Indian and Wuxia Star Continent Association, who had conflicts with the martial arts world of Wuxia. They would never allow this divine herb to fall into the hands of the powerful people of Wuxia, especially Jiang Tian, who was invincible in the martial arts world of Wuxia. Who knew what kind of monstrous demon he would become after eating it? Cut the crap. Let's do it together. Jiang Tian's eyes were indifferent, and his expression did not change at all. The princess flower was already in his hands. After Qing'er took it, she would be able to awaken her celestial body and stimulate her cultivation. She would not need to play the zither with bloodstained fingers anymore. She would be able to embark on the path of cultivation with him. At this time, not to mention the powerful people of Southeast Asia, even if the powerful people of the world were gathered, Jiang Tian would not back down or give up. He also knew that this battle was very dangerous. But even if he had to bleed to the last drop of blood, he would protect the princess flower. He would never give it up. It was because of the abandonment in his previous life that he had endless regret for 10,000 years. They are really going to fight. Master Kong is really domineering. Hu Qingtian and Wei Feilong looked at each other, feeling uneasy. In the past, they had joined forces with Zhao Yuankuan, but they could not gain the upper hand in front of the Fire Lotus Grand Scholar. Now that Grand Priest Huolian and the other Southeast Asian powerhouses had joined forces, who could stand a chance against them? It even had the power to kill a half-step divine realm expert. But the other way around. If Jiang Tian won this battle, it would really shake Southeast Asia. No one would dare to covet the martial arts forces of Wuxia. Brat, you're crazy. However, in my opinion, Wuxia's martial arts are trash. When I smash your head with my fist, let's see how you can still be arrogant. The giant elephant Tai-Seng roared and took large strides towards Jiang Tian. He was an expert who had awakened his physical body and was incomparably powerful. He possessed the strength of a dragon and elephant and could smash through steel with a single punch. In the list of Southeast Asian powerhouses, he was ranked in the top 10. He was even more powerful than the ancient Muay Thai expert Meng Kong that Jiang Tian had met on Mount Wu in Qixia County. In this world of ice and snow, his muscular upper body was bare, and there were strange patterns all over his bronze skin. His body was as tall as a mountain, and was more than 2 meters tall. He walked barefoot on the ground and crushed the snow and hard rocks with each step he took. "Since we're going to fight, let's make the first move," Jiang Tian roared. His eyes were stern as he stepped forward. He slowly extended his jade-white palm and slammed it down. Jiang Tian had finally made his move. Compared to Jiang Tian killing people with a breath and finger light hitting nothing, this could be considered a real attack. Jiang Tian's body had been tempered by a cultivation technique and did not contain any impurities. It was crystal clear and his palm was as fair and delicate as a girl's. However, as this seemingly light palm slammed down, the space 5 meters above Tyson's had suddenly trembled violently, as if a muffled clap of thunder rang out. Then a 4-meter-long giant palm came down from the sky. It was like Gong Gong smashing down Mount Buzhou, or a heavenly lord smashing down the heaven-flipping seal. Tusk of the giant elephant. Break. Feeling the powerful pressure, Tyson the giant elephant roared loudly. His fists were like cannonballs as he attacked the giant palm with all his might. Suddenly, an ancient elephant vaguely appeared behind him. He had already activated his special ability and potential, and used the strength of a dragon and elephant. However, the giant palm only trembled slightly and continued to press down. Physical body awakening. Tyson the giant elephant roared and stomped his feet on the ground. The billions of cells in his body boiled in an instant, and his body grew to a height of 3 meters like a bamboo shoot. His long pants instantly turned into shorts, and they were torn apart by his bulging muscles. He was like an indomitable demon as he took the giant palm head-on. Trash. Go to hell. Jiang Tian's expression did not change. His palm continued to press down. In the end, under everyone's disbelieving gazes, no matter how giant elephant Tai-Sang activated his secret technique, resisted and struggled with all his might, and even burned his blood essence, he was still slapped to the point of kneeling on the ground by Jiang Tian. In the end, he was directly embedded into the ice. Accompanied by a heart-wrenching cry, a series of bone-chilling crisp sounds of bones shattering rang out. Amidst the splattering blood, the giant elephant Tai-Sang was instantly turned into a pile of meat paste. There's no need to follow the rules against the enemy. Let's attack together. The Master of Heaven, Oyila, glared at Jiang Tian viciously. He let out a hoarse cry and stabbed his wooden staff into the ground. Then he formed a strange seal with his hands and waved it. Sharp icicles that were half a meter long formed between her hands. They were crystal clear like diamonds. Go! Icicles immediately shot out like arrows, cutting through the wind and snow, piercing through the void and shooting toward Jiang Tian. Jiang Tian was slightly taken aback as his eyes turned cold. Oyila was indeed a master of heaven. She could control ice and snow. Although she could not control the chi of heaven and earth like the Taoist physique, it was already impressive. It could be said that she was much more powerful than Yang Guochang from the Maoshan sect. However, the next moment Jiang Tian laughed. You're still too young to compete with me in terms of spells. Demonic Flame Chi Soldier. Swoosh. Jiang Tian waved his fingers, and a demonic flame Chi soldier slashed out. The icicles were no match for the extremely high temperature of the demonic flame Chi soldier. They shattered and vaporized in an instant. Immediately, white mist rose. He actually knows magic. Oyila's body shook as she took a few steps back. She clutched her chest and spat out a mouthful of blood. Her eyes were filled with horror as she stared at Jiang Tian in disbelief. Cadaver demon. Kill him. The next moment, she shouted as she picked up her walking stick and waved it. Black smoke rolled out. A dozen cadaver demons suddenly appeared in the black smoke. They were as thin as firewood, but their bodies shone with a metallic luster. They contained endless power as they jumped up and down. baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. They roared and roared as they charged at Jiang Tian. These cadaver demons are zombies from the Qing dynasty. They have been refined with a secret art. They drink silver mercury and are soaked in bronze. One of them can kill a transcendent state master. Let's see how you can withstand so many of them. Oyila held her walking stick and said smugly, "You're just a cadaver demon. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me?" Jiang Tian shook his head in disdain and withdrew the thunderfall wood. Under the horrified gazes of everyone, a bolt of lightning that was as thick as a wrist blasted out. Then he used the thunder manipulation art to form a lightning spear and threw it at the cadaver demons. Boom, boom. The lightning spears smashed into the bodies of the cadaver demons. These evil and filthy creatures were most afraid of lightning. In the blink of an eye, they were all turned into black charcoal and scattered into ashes, crumbling into pieces. You also know thunder arts? Oyila was shocked. Thunder arts were the most difficult Dharma spells to master. Could it be that Kong Teichu had also mastered it? This was too unbelievable. Not necessarily. He just has a Dharma treasure. Let me meet this little devil. Grandmaster Green Lotus shouted as he formed a Buddhist seal with his right hand and chanted the name of Buddha. Suddenly, rays of golden light appeared around him and on his Buddhist staff. He was like a real Buddha, full of solemn, holy and mighty aura. Master Kong, watch out. Wei Feilong saw this and shouted. White sweat appeared on his face. This man is the most eminent monk in India. He has many followers. His Buddhist staff will gather merit force to attack. Hu Qingtian also warned. The purple golden Buddhist staff was a Buddhist treasure. Grand Master Green Lotus used it to purify the souls of the dead and gather merit force. It was worshipped by the people of India. Once the Buddhist staff was used, even a half-step immortal state warrior would have to be careful. Go to hell, little devil. Grandmaster Green Lotus formed a seal with his left hand and gathered his psyche force. He raised his white eyebrows and glared at Jiang Tian. Then he waved the Buddhist staff in his left hand and smashed it at Jiang Tian. The moment the Buddhist staff smashed down, many green lotus flowers the size of wash basins bloomed in the air. They looked like they were carved out of green jade. They spun and slashed at Jiang Tian. This is the angry Buddha Green Lotus. No wonder he is the most eminent monk in India. Many of the people present gasped in amazement and sucked in a breath of cold air. This was the most powerful attack in Indian Buddhism. It had the power to kill a peak-stage transcendent state cultivator. It was also a secret art that was extremely difficult to cultivate. No one had expected Grand Master Green Lotus to be able to use it. Humph. Bullshit psyche force. How many followers do you have? Ridiculous. Jiang Tian laughed and threw out a punch. Jiang Tian had instantly changed the force of this punch 6 times, and it was like an antelope hanging its horn, natural and unique. In the end, the endless fist force drew a perfect arc and blasted through the 9 green lotuses. Kacha, kacha. Amidst crisp shattering sounds, after the many green lotuses shattered, Jiang Tian's fist momentum did not diminish in the slightest. It actually landed accurately on Grand Master Qing Lian's chest. Ouch! Grand Master Green Lotus grunted. The sandalwood prayer beads in front of his chest suddenly glowed, trying to block Jiang Tian's fist force. However, Jiang Tian's fist force was so powerful that the prayer beads glowed even brighter. In the end, they were broken into pieces. Grand Master Green Lotus couldn't take it anymore. He flew into the air and flew 5 or 6 meters away before landing on the ground. What kind of martial art is this? Since when did Wuxia have a martial art that can destroy psyche force? Grand Master Green Lotus was shocked and couldn't believe his eyes. This is called breaking all spells with one force. I can destroy your psyche force with just my fist force. You are already dead when it comes to soul energy. Jiang Tian sneered. His eyes were filled with disdain. He activated his spiritual sense and sent a stream of telekinesis towards Jiang Tian. Block for me. Grand Master Green Lotus waved the Buddhist staff in front of him. Golden Buddha light formed a shield in front of him. Kacha, the golden shield instantly shattered with a thump. Grandmaster Green Lotus was thrown 5 meters away and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Chapter 274. Qing Lian was worried that Jiang Tian would throw another punch at him. Ancient Yoga, Divine Concealment. Suddenly, with a low shout, Xing made his move. His figure flickered and approached Jiang Tian like a ghost. However, when he was about 10 meters away from Jiang Tian, his figure suddenly changed. His figure suddenly became faintly discernible, like a translucent shadow. Then, his figure suddenly swayed and completely disappeared. Oh, where did he go? Is this ancient yoga? It can make him invisible. That's amazing. It's so scary. Ancient yoga is a technique that cultivates both the mind and the body. Just as Hu Qingtian and the others were feeling puzzled and amazed, Hu Qingtian and the others were shocked. Haha, you're just an ant. How dare you play invisibility in front of me? You're courting death. Jiang Tian smiled disdainfully. Suddenly, he turned his body and threw a sharp elbow strike at the void behind him. Amid the splashing blood and miserable screams, Xing's distorted face that was hit by Jiang Tian suddenly appeared in the void. Then, he completely revealed himself and flew out like a dead dog. How can he see through my divine concealment? This is the top secret technique of ancient yoga. His teeth fell out. Half of his cheek was broken, and blood spurted out of his mouth. He did not even have the strength to get up. He could not help but be terrified. He did not know that Jiang Tian had divine sense and could sense heaven and earth. Although he had just created an illusion to hide his body, he could not hide his aura at all. Whoosh! Black-winged Batu's arms shook. Suddenly, 2 wings made of pure black light stretched out from his back. They were 5 or 6 meters long, and each of the feathers was extremely dense as if they were real. He flapped his wings and flew to a height of 10 meters like the legendary Lei Zhenzi and swooped down on Jiang Tian. Whoosh! Black smoke lingered in Black-winged Batu's eyes. When he was 10 meters away from Jiang Tian, he suddenly flapped his wings. Whoosh! Whoosh! A few sharp sounds. Suddenly, the black feathers swept towards Jiang Tian like flying daggers. Those black feathers were filled with fiend qi and each of them seemed to be made of steel. They were able to break rocks and kill transcendent grandmasters. Over 100 flying daggers were launched at Jiang Tian. Humph, you're still far from it. Jiang Tian smiled proudly and threw out another punch. This punch was simple and boundless. It was like an immortal had descended to execute a fist technique, and it carried a natural aura. With a rumbling sound, the fist soared into the sky, shattering the black feathers. The black-winged Batu flapped his wings and flew up and down to dodge the fist. Wherever the fist passed, the ice shattered, the earth shook, and a crack about 10 meters long appeared on the ground, causing everyone to shiver. This guy is so strong. His physical body, spells, and spiritual power are all incredibly strong. Aura's heart thumped. There's no other way. Only by working together will we be able to suppress him. Grandmaster Qing Lian held the purple gold staff and said with a gloomy face, "Together." The rest of the overlords shouted. They were determined to obtain the imperial daughter flower, so they no longer cared about face. They immediately swept up rolling snow, surrounding Jiang Tian from all directions. Very well. Finally, all of you are going to join the fight? Jiang Tian sneered. His eyes shone brightly. In the cold wind, his black hair fluttered like a waterfall. A surge of battle intent was emitted from him, rising steadily until it reached the 9th level of the clouds. Very well, I am going to start a massacre today. Jiang Tian placed the little monkey on the ground and held the long-necked jade bottle with the princess flower in his left hand. With a low roar, he finally charged out. He wanted to fight the Southeast Asian experts alone. Jiang Tian's first target was Aura. He threw out a punch, and it was as if a dragon had emerged from the sea. "You can't kill me," Aura shouted and waved his wooden staff. Suddenly, a wall of ice pillars rose from the ground, trying to stop Jiang Tian's attack. "You think you can stop me with just a Dharma spell?" Jiang Tian smiled proudly. This punch was unstoppable. It had the power to destroy heaven and earth and crush gods and Buddhas. It shattered the stone wall and arrived in front of Oyila in the blink of an eye. It was too late for Aura to dodge. He screamed and blocked his chest with his wooden staff. Crack. With a bang, the wooden staff shattered, and the fist shot out like a cannonball and landed on Oyila's chest. Crack. Crack. Amidst the bone-chilling sounds of bones breaking, Oyila spat out a mouthful of blood. His shriveled body was sent flying and crashed to the ground, kicking up a shower of ice and snow. Aura, the sixth on the Southeast Asian Overlord's leaderboard, was dead. As soon as Jiang Tian attacked, he killed Oyila with a single move. Bang. 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 Everyone was enraged when they saw this. They used their most powerful skills and fought with each other to attack Jiang Tian. Suddenly, the peak of Mount Everest was filled with energy. Dust flew everywhere and the snow was shattered. The entire peak seemed to be on the verge of collapsing. These people were the most powerful overlords in Southeast Asia. They were the most powerful people in their own countries. They were as powerful as Hong Tianzhao, and could even compete with Lin Zhenyu. At this moment, they were all tempted by the sight of the princess flower. They didn't hold back at all, and attacked with all their might. It was equivalent to 4 or 5 Lin Zhenyu attacking at the same time. Even if Yi Zhantian was here, he would have to be cautious. Jiang Tian was determined to obtain the Empress Flower, so he did not hold back at all. He used all of his ultimate techniques. Sword. Jiang Tian used his true essence, and the sword of the Heavenly Court flew out of Hu Qingtian's hand, and landed in Jiang Tian's hand. Crack! Dark light flickered as Jiang Tian slashed down with his sword. The sharp sword light was like a waterfall, pressing down on a large area of the void. Art! Sing screamed and flew backward. Blood gushed out of his body. Half of his shoulder and left arm were cut off by Jiang Tian's sword, revealing the white bone stubble. He was about to stop the bleeding. Stop screaming. I will send you to hell. Jiang Tian swung the sword backward. Crack. Amidst the surging waves of blood, his head was chopped off. The Yoga Guru, the second most powerful man in India, Singh, was dead. Bang. Bang. Jiang Tian fought with the remaining experts, causing the entire peak of Mount Everest to be shaken. Mountain rocks were shattered, snow was flying everywhere, and the earth was shaking. Many overlords attacked at the same time, but Jiang Tian's Dharma treasures, Dharma spells, talismans, and Thunderwood were not at a disadvantage at all. The scene was a mess. Everyone could only see light curtains spinning around in the rolling ice and snow, leaving behind afterimages that couldn't be seen clearly. Powerful. Kong Teichu is too powerful. Many of the experts watching the battle felt dizzy. It was too much for their eyes to take in. They couldn't help but shudder and sigh with emotion. I had never thought that Master Kong would be so powerful. Indeed. It looks like Master King's killing of Lin Zhenyu was not a coincidence. Hu Qingtian and Wei Feilong's hearts raced as shock was written all over their faces. They had seen how Jiang Tian killed Lin Zhenyu, and were very impressed by Jiang Tian. However, they realized that they had underestimated Jiang Tian's power. He is so powerful. He is as powerful as a half-step to a mortal state warrior. Wu Yingxiong, young Magus God, and Soundless Shadow were terrified. They felt as if they had fallen into an ice cellar and lost all will to fight. Boom. Suddenly, Jiang Tian leaned his shoulder and directly broke Master Qing Lian's purple gold staff in the middle. Master Qing Lian also flew out miserably. Everyone thought that Jiang Tian was going to follow up with another attack. However, to everyone's surprise, Jiang Tian turned around and shot into the sky like a shooting star. Heading straight for Batu's day, Batu had been looking down at Chen Fan from above. He fired a series of black chi feathers at Chen Fan. Jiang Tian couldn't hurt him, so he had nothing to fear. He was also fighting to his heart's content. Although he couldn't cause any real damage to Jiang Tian, it definitely caused a serious disturbance to Jiang Tian. How can he be so fast? Seeing Jiang Tian charging at him like an arrow, Batu turned pale with fright, his face filled with disbelief. However, Batu was a seasoned fighter on the Southeast Asian power role. He flapped his wings and quickly backed away. Then he tried to evade Jiang Tian's attack. However, compared to Jiang Tian's movement technique and speed, he was still too far behind. Jiang Tian chased after him like a shadow and crashed into him. Jiang Tian's body and strength were extremely strong. Even if Batu used his black wings to protect himself, it would still be useless. Black Wing Batu let out a blood-curdling scream. Blood spurted out from his mouth. Both of his wings were shattered, and a huge hole was created in his chest by Jiang Tian. His skin and flesh were torn open, and blood was gushing out from his wounds. He was sent flying out like a rag. Bang! Batu fell to the ground. His heart was filled with horror. He lay on the ground and shouted, "Helicopter, open fire!" He was worried that Jiang Tian would destroy the princess flower, so he didn't give the order to open fire. However, at this moment he understood that leaving Mount Everest alive was an extravagant hope. He couldn't care less. He had to kill Jiang Tian first. As for the princess flower, he would take as much as he could. Suddenly, the 4 M134 miniguns on the two choppers locked onto Jiang Tian and opened fire. The minigun was a multi-barreled rotary machine gun. Designed by the American Richard Jordan minigun in 1860, it was the first machine gun to be put into practical use. It was also the fastest gun in the world. After improvement, it could fire 5,000 bullets per minute. It was powerful and could turn the target into a sieve. In addition, it used 13mm armor-piercing, incendiary, and explosive bullets. Its lethality was huge. One bullet could break a person's waist. It was a peerless killing machine. Usually, the Black Wing mercenaries used this kind of equipment to deal with helicopters and light armored vehicles. Using it to fight people was like using a butcher's knife to kill a chicken. Bang! 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 Streams of sparks shot out from the rapidly spinning gun barrel. Those were the sparks brought about by the densely packed bullets. They connected into many straight lines, gushing toward Jiang Tian like a metal tempest. They instantly interweaved into a net of fire, completely enveloping Jiang Tian. Suddenly the ground was in a mess. The ice and snow collapsed, and the bucket-sized boulders were hit and rolled all over the ground. The rain-like bullets left shocking bullet marks on the ground and rocks. Ice, snow, and stone fragments flew everywhere. Flames swallowed and spat out, and a thick smoke rose into the sky and spread in all directions. In this situation, even a half-step Divine Realm expert would be turned into a sieve. Grandmaster Green Lotus stared at the area filled with black smoke with a sinister look in his eyes, and cackled with a smug expression. "We should have killed him long ago. It's a pity that the princess flower would be destroyed." Blackwing Batu walked to Master Qing Lian's side, and said with a lingering fear. The others were also complacent, and thought that Jiang Tian was dead. Chapter 275. That kind of heavy firepower, coupled with armor-piercing and incendiary bullets, could even kill a half-step immortal state warrior. Although Jiang Tian was famous in China, he was only at the peak of the transcendent state, and was still far from reaching the immortal state. Although a transcendent state cultivator was able to form qi into righteousness, it depended on the type of weapon used. Normally speaking, even a peak transcendent state cultivator could only withstand one or a few shots from a small caliber weapon. However, it would be impossible for him to withstand a barrage of bullets from a large caliber weapon. In short, his true qi reserves were limited, and it was not enough to last for so long. Is Master Kong dead? Wei Feilong's eyes were brimming with tears. Despicable. Under such circumstances, the long formation should have shown up. Hua Qingtian gritted his teeth and clenched his fists so tightly that his knuckles were about to crack. What a shame that Master Kong is so talented. Wei Feilong heaved a sigh. For some reason, he suddenly felt disappointed in Yi Zhantian's long formation cultivation. The princess flower was a spirit plant that grew at the northern foot of Mount Everest in Wuxia. It was supposed to belong to Wuxia. However, for the past 10 years, the long formation had allowed Master Green Lotus to occupy it. Even now, the long formation remained silent. Let's go. Wu Yingxiong shook his head and let out a wry smile. Even Yi Zhantian couldn't withstand the barrage of bullets, let alone Jiang Tian. Plus, the House of Shadowblight and the Ghost Witch sect were not strong enough to fight for the princess flower. What was the point of staying here? Jiang Taichu's strength is not bad, but it's a pity that the other party used the cannon god to blast him. Young Divine Warrior God shook his head and shrugged. He was gloating over Ba's misfortune. Perhaps it was because he was also young that he was jealous of Jiang Tian's prowess and fame. Within a minute, several ammunition belts had been emptied. More than 10,000 bullets had been fired. Just when everyone thought that this dispute was going to end, and even the black-winged Batu had already stepped on the steaming bullet shells and walked towards the black smoke. TSK, is this the power of Mini Hill? It's nothing much. It's like you're tickling me. Suddenly, a cold voice came out from the black smoke and the flames that filled the sky. Then, under the horrified gazes of the crowd, Jiang Tian stepped out of the billowing black smoke. Jiang Tian held the jade bottle in one hand, and the heavenly court sword in the other. He looked relaxed and unharmed. There wasn't even a speck of dust on his white shirt. In an instant, everyone felt their scalps go numb, as if they were about to explode. Not even a single hair was injured. How is this possible? Wu Yingxiong's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. He's too strong. What is his cultivation level? How could a peak transcendent state cultivator be so powerful? How could his true qi be so powerful? Young wizard god looked at Jiang Tian in disbelief. He thought Jiang Tian was the biggest threat he had ever faced. Soundless Shadow remained silent. However, his trembling hands betrayed his shock and astonishment. Master Kong is still alive. He is so powerful. Wei Feilong laughed through his tears. He was so excited that he almost jumped out of his seat. I'm afraid that Master Kong has already reached the immortal state. Hu Qingtian suddenly thought of a possibility. How? How is this possible? At this moment, Grand Master Green Lotus shrieked as if his anus had been ruptured. Even the most powerful machine gun in the world couldn't kill him. Could he be half a step away from immortal state? Fire. The black-winged Batu was shocked out of his wits. However, the next second he screamed like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. Yes, under such circumstances, there was no time to think about the crown princess flower. They had to kill Jiang Tian to save their lives. However, Jiang Tian had already moved a step ahead of them. Qila. His figure was like a bolt of lightning, shooting straight up into the sky. Flickering light and passing shadow. Jiang Tian would not give them the chance to do so. He used his movement skill, and his body rose up to 10 meters in the air. Then, without giving the pilot a chance to aim or fire, he slashed down with his sword. Swoosh! A huge black lightning flashed across the sky. The cockpit of one of the helicopters was sliced off. The helicopter lost its power and crashed into a mountain peak like a headless fly. Jiang Tian didn't even look at the helicopter. He swung his sword again and a 10-meter-long sword aura swept out. With a loud boom, another helicopter exploded, turning into pieces of scrap metal that fell to the ground. The propellers swept up the mountain rocks, causing the earth to shake and the mountains to shake. The black-winged Batu was heartbroken. His heart was bleeding. These two helicopters were worth tens of millions of US dollars. They were his favorite. However, they were destroyed by Chen Fan's sword. But now he didn't have time to feel sorry for them. He flapped his wings and turned into a beam of light, flying toward the south of Mt. Everest. Kong Teichu is too powerful. He has the ability to dominate Southeast Asia. I'm afraid that only Master Wang Chongyan can kill him. As he ran, he screamed in his heart. At the same time, he swore to himself, I have to report this to the president as soon as possible. We have to get rid of this brat by the roots. Otherwise, the Star Continent Union might be destroyed. His movement skill was comparable to the speed of sound. In the blink of an eye, he was hundreds of meters away. Suddenly, he stopped abruptly. He saw a figure standing in the air in front of him. Do you think you can run away? Jiang Tian snorted disdainfully. His body turned into a shadow and crashed into Batu's day. The black-winged Batu couldn't dodge the attack. He screamed and spat out blood. He fell to the ground like a rag doll. Go to hell. Swoosh. Jiang Tian didn't show any mercy. He infused his true essence into the black sword of the heavenly court and swung it. A dazzling sword light that was 10 meters long swept across and directly cut off the head of the black-clothed Batu, who was falling rapidly. Jiang Tian did a somersault and landed on the ground from a height of 10 meters. He held the blood-dripping sword in his hand, and his gaze was as cold as a saber. He looked at the shocked Grandmaster Green Lotus, who stood alone on the snow. "It's your turn now, bald man." "Master Kong, I didn't know you were so powerful. I didn't expect that there would be someone as powerful as you in Wuxia." Taoist Qing Lian forced himself to calm down and admitted defeat. He said respectfully, "Fine, fine. I admit defeat. I'm willing to shake hands and make peace with you. I'll let you have the DNV flower. I'll never set foot in Wuxia again." "Humph, bald man, you must be mistaken." Jiang Tian looked calm, but his eyes became colder and colder. He said sarcastically, "When you joined forces with them to attack me just now, you called me a devil and said that I should be killed by everyone. You didn't want to shake hands with me. Well, now that the Buddhist staff is broken and the prayer beads are broken, you're admitting defeat and begging for mercy. You're really a fence-sitter." He dragged the heavenly court sword that was dripping with blood and approached Master Green Lotus indifferently. Blood dripped on the ground, leaving streaks of red, like plum blossoms blooming in winter. "Unfortunately, I, Kong Teichu, will never do stupid things like letting the tiger go back to the mountain. I also know the principle of eliminating evil by cutting the weeds and eliminating the roots." Jiang Tian said indifferently, "Master Kong, why are you so aggressive? I know you're a top martial arts master in Wuxia, but there are also many masters in Indian Buddhism." Master Green Lotus's face turned cold, and he was fully alert. Then he said angrily, "My disciples and followers are more than tens of millions. If you dare to kill me today, you'll be greeted with their bloody. You talk too much. Go to hell, bald man." Jiang Tian laughed. Whoosh. With a sound, the black heavenly court sword slashed down like a thunderbolt. With a swoosh, the sword light flashed through the void like a river of stars falling from the ninth heaven. "Evil man, how dare you!" Master Green Lotus roared angrily, but he suddenly froze before he could even form a Buddhist seal with his hands. After 3 seconds of stillness, Grand Master Green Lotus's body was split into two in the middle amidst the surging waves of blood. His corpse and his steaming internal organs fell to the ground. Master Green Lotus, 5th on the Southeast Asia power ranking and the top monk in India, was dead. At that moment, the entire place was dead silent. Only the sound of falling snow and the whistling of the wind could be heard. Blood stained the snow. Broken limbs and corpses were piled up. The entire Mount Everest was a mess. Blood chi surged into the sky, making it look like hell. Everyone was dumbstruck as they looked at Jiang Tian, who was stepping on a pool of blood like a demon god. Their faces were filled with shock. Jiang Tian fought against many masters in Southeast Asia alone and turned the tables. He took on the heavy machine gun fire head-on and killed all of them. He stood at the top of the mountain and made all the masters submit to him. He was peerless. If this news were to spread, it would shock all the masters in the world. Even Wang Chongyan from the Chinese Society of Singapore would be wary of him. "Wu Yingxiong, I've destroyed your grandson's cultivation. Do you still want revenge?" Suddenly Jiang Tian looked at him indifferently. Plop. Wu Yingxiong knelt on the ground and kowtowed. He said in a trembling voice, "Master Kong, I know I'm wrong. It's his honor and the Wu family's honor that you're teaching him a lesson on behalf of the old man." Everyone could not believe that Wu Yingxiong was suppressed by Chen Fan. Wu Yingxiong was a tyrant in the southwest region of Yunnan and Guizhou. He was on par with Hu Qingtian, and could even suppress Zhao Yuankuan. The likes of Hong Tianzhao, Wei Shuofeng and Su Zhenlei were nothing compared to him. But today, after seeing Jiang Tian's monstrous might, he only felt that Jiang Tian was a giant beast, and he was like a little white rabbit in front of Jiang Tian. Not enough to fill the gaps between his teeth. "Very good. You know the rules." Jiang Tian walked with his hands behind his back. Many powerhouses had fearful looks in their eyes as they retreated and opened up a path. Silent Shadow, right? Then he looked at Soundless Shadow indifferently, and a faint pressure pressed down on him. "Master Kong, what orders do you have for me?" Soundless Shadow was suppressed to the point that he found it difficult to breathe. Taking 2 steps back, he couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. His face turned cold as he hurriedly cupped his fists respectfully. At this moment, he had witnessed Jiang Tian's powerful cultivation and spells. He only felt that his little bit of poison and goo cultivation was like a clown in front of Jiang Tian. It was not worth mentioning at all, let alone being able to harm Jiang Tian at all. Jiang Tian, on the other hand, could kill him with a raise of his hand. Do you have any objections if I take this princess flower? Jiang Tian asked with a faint smile. Of course I have no objections. Master Kong taking this divine herb is what everyone wants. Silent Shadow was cold and arrogant, but he could not be arrogant in front of Jiang Tian. He was afraid that Jiang Tian would kill him with a raise of his hand. Chapter 276. What about you, young sorcerer god? Do you have a problem with that? Jiang Tian suddenly turned his head and glanced at young divine warrior god, who was sitting on the edge of his seat, as he released a stream of divine sense. Young sorcerer god practiced an evil art, and was very sensitive to divine sense. He felt as if his head was about to explode. He fell to the ground with a thud. His hair was disheveled and he was bleeding from all the orifices on his face. He looked like a demon that had just crawled out from hell. Master Kong, please spare my life. I have no problem with that. Young sorcerer god struggled to kneel on the ground. His immortal will was almost shattered by Jiang Tian's attack. His head was hurting, but he still had the strength to suck up to Jiang Tian. The princess flower is a spiritual treasure. Only a talented and virtuous overlord like Grandmaster Jiang deserves it. Do any of you have a problem with that? If anyone has a problem with that, come and take it from me. Jiang Tian's indifferent gaze swept over the crowd as he coldly reprimanded. I would not dare. Master Kong, I would not dare. Many experts lowered their arrogant heads one after another, not daring to breathe too loudly. Some of the younger experts with slightly lower cultivations even knelt on the ground and bowed to Jiang Tian as a disciple, worshipping him. Jiang Tian was pleased with their reaction. He saw that everyone's faces were filled with fear and uneasiness. However, there was not a single trace of hatred on their faces. No one would dare to covet it. Very well. Jiang Tian nodded slowly and said with a smile. Then this stock of spiritual herb belongs to me. Diansong. Jiang Tian looked at the people from Diansong and smiled coldly. Master Kong, please spare my life. In the end, even the people from Diansong did not dare to make any more noise and knelt on the ground. There was no longer any trace of arrogance on their faces as they begged Jiang Tian not to kill them. A semi-hidden faction? What's so great about that? Even if you are beaten up, you will still feel pain. Even if you are killed, you will still feel fear. Jiang Tianpai smiled leisurely and said, Help me pass a message to your sect master. Today, it was your Diansong that provoked us first. Don't take revenge. Otherwise, it won't be just killing a few disciples of your Diansong. I will annihilate your Diansong sect. Yes, we will definitely bring it over. Many Diansong disciples knelt on the ground, trembling. Let's go. Jiang Tian was too lazy to look at the crowd and rushed down the mountain. His movements were as fast as lightning, rolling up the rolling ice and snow like a white dragon. His figure flickered a few times, and disappeared among the lofty mountains and steep ridges. After Jiang Tian and the other two left, there was dead silence on the peak of Mount Everest. Everyone looked at each other, speechless for a long time. Only the whistling of the wind and the falling snow could be heard. I will go into seclusion and not come out for 20 years. Ying said with a complicated look on his face. Then, he swayed his body and disappeared in front of everyone. He'd always been proud and aloof, and he thought highly of himself. But when he saw Jiang Taichu's might today, he knew that he was nothing before a true expert, and the difference between them was too great. In other words, with Kong Taichu around, there was no way for a young man like him to stand out. I have to report this to my sect. If I ever see Kong Taichu again, I will have to avoid him. Young divine warrior mumbled to himself as he hurried down the mountain. Wu Yingxiong was still standing there in a daze. Then he looked up at the sky and heaved a sigh. Kong Taichu was like a god during the battle on the peak of Mount Everest. Half of Southeast Asia's Dao sects were destroyed in a day. Everyone was silent, fear in their eyes. They only felt that Jiang Tian's performance in this battle was really like that of a god. Blarg. After Jiang Tian went down the mountain, he staggered and fell to the ground. The jade bottle also rolled to the ground. He spat out a mouthful of blood, drenching the front of his shirt. Master Kong, are you okay? Hu Qingtian and Wei Feilong were shocked. They hurriedly helped Jiang Tian up with concern in their eyes. Sigh. That heavy machine gun was really scary. Seeing that the Empress flower was not damaged, Jiang Tian felt relieved. He hurriedly hugged it like he was hugging a baby that had been passed down for 5 generations. Wiping off the ice and snow, he sat on the snowy ground and squeezed out a bitter smile. After 3 minutes of continuous fire, over 10,000 bullets were fired. My aura defense was almost depleted. In the end, I had to secretly take more than 10 top-quality pills to hang on to my last breath and continue fighting. Now that I have let my guard down, I can't hold on any longer. At this moment, a thought flashed through his mind. It seemed that this body was still too weak. Moreover, the cultivation resources on Earth were scarce and the energy was too little. Even if he used the primal chaos creation formula to refine it, he still couldn't reach a level that satisfied him. On the path of cultivation, physical body, spirit, cultivation techniques, magical treasures, and other external materials were indispensable. His divine sense and cultivation techniques were very powerful, but this weak body had become the shackles of his divine sense and cultivation techniques. The only thing he could do now was to find suitable materials to reconstruct his body. Now that he had found the D-daughter flower and solved Qing'er's cultivation problem, it was time to deal with this important matter. Sigh. Master Kong is so affectionate to Madam. If Madam knew, she would be moved to tears. Hu Qingtian sighed. According to Jiang Tian's instructions, he took out a few pills and fed them to Jiang Tian. Yes, as the saying goes, deep love leads to righteousness. To be able to follow the affectionate and righteous Master Kong is the blessing of 3 lifetimes. Wei Feilong said with a sigh. It could be said that most people in the martial arts world of Wuxia thought highly of themselves. They either kept their mistresses in a golden house, or had multiple wives and concubines. In the eyes of these martial artists, women were nothing more than playthings to relieve their boredom. How could they be like Jiang Tian, who was so affectionate and righteous that he didn't hesitate to fight the Southeast Asian army alone to let his wife cultivate? Please don't tell her. The corner of Jiang Tian's mouth was stained with blood. His face was pale, and his breathing was very weak. After taking the pills, he felt a little better and said indifferently, "It's all my fault for not being capable enough. It's just a few vultures from Southeast Asia, and they actually injured me." Wei Feilong quickly drove the off-road vehicle over. The two of them helped Jiang Tian into the car. Jiang Tian closed his eyes and started to refine the healing pills. He waved his hand and said, "Let's go back to Linzhou. I want to go home." At this moment, Jiang Tian was very anxious to return home. He wanted to see the smile on his beloved wife's face. He wanted to witness her awakening of the divine body, and advancing by leaps and bounds. "Don't worry, Master Kong. We'll go home now." Wei Feilong also hurried the car. However, he still felt dizzy. Jiang Tian immediately sat cross-legged and closed his eyes to rest and refine the pills. While Jiang Tian was on his way to Linzhou, an earth-shattering piece of news swept across Wuxia like a hurricane, and even the entire world was in an uproar. Kong Taichu had fought with many Southeast Asian overlords on the summit of Mount Everest. He had won every battle and was invincible. I heard that the Master of Heaven, Oyila, could control many powers. I didn't expect that she would die in the hands of Kong Taichu. A Western overlord and the leader of the Scarlet Assassin organization posted the news on the Dark Net. The Dark Net was the most mysterious website in the world of Dark Net. Many martial arts overlords and mutants gathered there. Of course, there were also people who would post bounties and kill missions, or all kinds of shady deals. How is this possible? That's the 4th most powerful overlord in Southeast Asia. He's a veteran warlock with spells and divine powers. In Southeast Asia, I'm afraid only Wang Chongyan can defeat him. Upon seeing this piece of news, an expert immediately cried out in horror. Yeah, I remember that 10 years ago, the Sword Tiger Assassin Organization, ranked 7th in the world, had assassinated a tycoon in Malaysia. However, what the Sword Tiger didn't know was that this tycoon was a believer of Oyila and was under her protection. When Oyila found out about it, she went to the Sword Tiger's headquarters, Olan City in the Apennine Half-Island. In just 30 minutes, she killed more than 100 fully armed sword tigers with large-caliber firearms. Not even their bones were left. As a result, Oyila became famous after that battle, and the name of the Master of Heaven spread across the world. Even now, many overlords still had lingering fears when they talked about Oyila's fierce battle results. Because of this, they couldn't believe that the young man from Wuxia could kill Oyila. I saw it with my own eyes. The leader of the Scarlet Assassin Organization was watching the battle from afar, and saw some of it with his own eyes. He immediately said, not only him, even Blackwing Batu, Indian Yoga Master Singh, the #1 monk, Master Green Lotus, Gurukul Master Grey Clothed Man, and Giant Elephant Tyson were all killed together. Kong Taechu fought alone, and only took about half an hour. As soon as this was said, the entire dark net went silent. No one was spamming the screen anymore, as if the server had crashed. Everyone was completely stunned. Blackwing Batu? The leader of the Blackwing mercenaries? Are you kidding me? They have heavy weapons. Yeah, Scarlet Assassin Organization, don't talk nonsense. Green Lotus is ranked 5th in Southeast Asia. Even Singh is in the top 10 of Southeast Asia. After a full 5 minutes, someone finally said in disbelief, "It's true, I saw it too. Kong Taechu is too strong." At this time, another overlord appeared to support the Scarlet Assassin Organization. This overlord's ID was the Observer. Looking at the time of registration, it was already 20 years ago. The Observer has appeared. Hurry up and tell us what's going on. This Kong Taechu, where did he come from? The forum suddenly exploded. Everyone was very excited. The Observer was the world's #1 information broker in the dark net. He had a very high reputation in the dark net. This person's background was very mysterious. He had been active in the dark world for more than 10 years, but no one knew whether he was a man or a woman, and no one had seen his true face. The Observer had an extremely strong ability to collect information. He was known for providing accurate, detailed, and trustworthy information. There was almost no secret in the dark world that he did not know. He was known as the Dark Net Encyclopedia, the Walking Dark Net, and other titles. However, the Observer did not belong to any organization or force. He did not have any affiliation with the intelligence agencies of various countries. He never participated in any disputes in the dark world. He was completely neutral and would keep secrets for the information buyers. Therefore, almost all the major overlord organizations in the world liked to deal with the Observer, inquire about information by information, and even let him provide all kinds of suggestions as an artificial brain. There was no lack of the intelligence agencies of some superpowers. This Kong Taechu is the person who killed Big Circle Lin Zhenyu. No wonder you guys, Huaxia's name has never been easy to remember. The Observer sent a grinning emoji. Chapter 277. It's him. This Kong Taechu is invincible. Everyone exclaimed in amazement. But that's impossible. Someone said confidently. Guru Qing Lian has many followers and possesses telekinesis. He is as powerful as Lin Zhenyu. This battle was like 7 or 8 Lin Zhenyu attacking him at the same time. It's true. I have a video for you to watch. The Observer immediately released a short video that was only 3 minutes long. The video was shot some distance away from the summit of Mount Everest. The camera was also shaky. It was nighttime and there was a snowstorm, so the video was not very clear. But it was still possible to see the shocking process of the battle. Oh my God! Even the cannon god could not kill him. Is he even human? He can fly. Even Batu the Blackwing is not as fast as him. He is like Superman. He knows how to cast spells. He killed Guru Qing Lian with one strike. When the overlords clicked on the video, they were shocked and their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. If not for the fact that the video was posted by the Observer, they would have suspected that the video was a fake. Finally, the observer made the final decision, making the final footnote for this pinnacle battle. This battle on the summit of Mount Everest is of great significance. Kang Taechu's influence has spread beyond the borders of China to Southeast Asia. He is now qualified to fight Wang Chongyan. After this battle, the Chinese Club of Singapore has lost 3 of its most powerful members. How can Wang Chongyan tolerate this? My guess is that Kang Taechu and Wang Chongyan of the Chinese Club of Singapore are going to have a great battle. As soon as these words were spoken, the entire place fell into dead silence. Wang Chongyan of the Chinese Club of Singapore. He was the king of Singapore. He was the number 1 in Southeast Asia and the top 20 on the heaven roll. He was one of the most powerful overlords in the history of Wuxia. He was on par with Yi Zhantian's father. Rumor had it that he was half a step away from the immortal state. Even Lin Jinyu had to greet him respectfully. And now, Kang Taechu, who was still unknown a year ago, actually had the qualifications to fight with Wang Zhongyan. All the experts felt suffocated, and they felt as if a new star was slowly rising, shining brightly. While the entire dark world was in an uproar because of the battle at the peak of Mount Everest, after 3 days of travel, Jiang Tian arrived in Linzhou and returned to King's number 1 villa. Only when you have loved, do you know how to cherish. Only when you have lost, do you know how to cherish. Home, his beloved wife. These were the things that he longed for the most. Hubby, you're finally back. Are you all right? Zhao Xueqing immediately came up to him. With tears in her eyes, she carefully looked at Jiang Tian. Seeing his pale face, she couldn't help but worry. I'm fine, aren't I perfectly fine? Jiang Tian smiled as he stretched out his arms and spun in a circle. But your complexion. Zhao Xueqing knew that even if Jiang Tian had gone through untold hardships and narrowly escaped death, he would still say, I'm fine, I'm fine. She looked at Hu Qingtian and Wei Feilong and asked softly, Mr. Hua, Mr. Wei, you accompanied my husband all the way. It's been hard on you. Did you encounter any danger? It's fine. Mount Everest is a remote place. When we went there, there was no one. We got it quickly. Looking at Jiang Tian's warning look, Hu Qingtian hurriedly said, Wasn't there a very powerful monk? Zhao Xueqing knew that he was lying, so she asked. Wei Feilong hurriedly laughed and said, That monk is an enlightened senior monk. He is kind and benevolent. Master Kong moved him emotionally and reasoned with him, and he gave in. After all, he is an enlightened senior monk. You know how to reason? Zhao Xueqing looked at Jiang Tian in astonishment. She was skeptical. Of course, I'm very reasonable. My ability to persuade people is excellent. Jiang Tian looked pleased, but he snorted coldly in his heart. Who can reason with their fists? All right, Qinger, stop talking nonsense. I've already brought back the new flower. Jiang Tian smiled and took out the new flower from the jade bottle in his backpack. Hu Qingtian and Wei Feilong had a funny feeling. It was like a cowardly husband who was being controlled by his wife, and had to hand over his salary. This is the new flower? Qinger's delicate body couldn't help but tremble. With tears in her eyes, she said softly, If I eat it, I can cultivate. As soon as she saw the new flower, she smelled a refreshing fragrance. The abundant spirit qi that was naturally emitted made her feel refreshed, as if she had been enlightened. She felt very comfortable. What was even more amazing was that she felt as if she was connected to this flower. It's not that you can cultivate. You've been cultivating this entire time, and your current level has already far surpassed mine. Once you consume the new flower, you'll be able to unleash your cultivation. I'll have to rely on you in the future. Jiang Tian said with a gratified expression. He had just checked the spell formation around the villa. After more than a year of cultivation, Qinger had absorbed all of the spiritual energy within a radius of a few kilometers. Even the spiritual nature of the spell formation had disappeared. Furthermore, she had swallowed many spirit pills and elixirs as if they were jelly beans. It could be said that her current cultivation was already at the late-stage qi refinement stage, and she was even more powerful than him. The image of Qinger unleashing her cultivation appeared in Jiang Tian's mind. He was very much looking forward to it, and was even a little excited. What? Madam's cultivation is even more powerful than Master Kang's. Hu Qingtian was stunned and felt dizzy. He felt as if his brain wasn't big enough. Just how strong was he? Yes, my family has always been dominated by strong women and weak men. There's no other way. Jiang Tian sighed with a smile. Madam is a supreme beauty, and Master Kong is a dragon among men. Wei Failong exclaimed in admiration. He clapped and laughed. From now on, Master Kong and Madam will travel the world together like a celestial couple. It'll be a beautiful story. Master, don't you need to refine this new flower into a pill? Shenmenge asked softly. No need. Jiang Tian waved his hand and smiled. This new flower is a spiritual item of heaven and earth, and it's naturally compatible with Qing'er's body. If I refine it, I'll lose its medicinal properties, so I'll just swallow it. It's so big I can't eat it. Should I make a cold dish, stir-fry, or hot pot? Qing'er smiled mischievously. It was rare for her to crack a joke. In an instant, it was as if hundreds of flowers had bloomed in the world. It was much brighter and more beautiful. She was like a 16-year-old girl, bright, charming and cute. Hu Qingtian and Wei Failong were stunned. They quickly looked away, not daring to look again. Any method will lose its medicinal properties. The best way is to break it into pieces and swallow it directly. Jiang Tian immediately found a juicer and broke the DNV flower. He then mixed in some of the 5 elements spiritual liquid that he had collected before and poured it into the juicer. A moment later, a bowl of bright red juice was poured into a white jade cup that Jiang Tian had carved with Dao patterns and runes. At this time, the spiritual qi was even richer, and a delicate fragrance wafted in the air. The cup emitted multicolored haze, and the medicinal liquid was full of strange phenomena. It was as if a divine phoenix was soaring in the air, and it was even letting out waves of phoenix cries. It was unforgettable and shocking. As expected of a peerless medicine, the ice spring that flows through its roots is called the catalytic liquid by many powerhouses. What about the main body? Hu Qingtian and Wei Failong sighed. They were very envious, but they knew that Jiang Tian would not share a drop with them. That's right, in Master Kang's eyes, nothing was more important than his wife. They had to wait. Hubby, can I drink it now? Qing'er's slender hand trembled slightly. She carefully held the jade cup and looked nervously at Jiang Tian. Drink it. Seeing him nod slightly, Qing'er took a deep breath and drank the medicinal liquid in one gulp. At this moment, Zhao Xueqing only felt that the qi and blood in her body were boiling. Every cell and every drop of blood was jumping, growing, and cheering. Streams of powerful aura condensed in her acupoints. They first condensed into raindrops, then into streams, and finally converged in her meridians. They were already surging and roaring like a torrential river. An unprecedented sense of power filled every inch of her flesh and blood, and every meridian. I can even fly. Zhao Xueqing said in a daze. In everyone's eyes, an extremely powerful aura suddenly appeared on Zhao Xueqing's body. That aura rose steadily, causing the space around her to tremble violently. It was like rippling water that was blurry and indeterminate. So strong. Shenmenge stumbled back with a frightened look in her eyes as she felt a strong momentum pushing out from her. Even Hu Qingtian and Wei Failong were suppressed to the point that their bones creaked and their qi and blood surged in their chests. They looked at each other in astonishment, and also took a few steps back. Finally, the powerful aura was like a nuclear explosion. With a bang, it violently spread in all directions. Suddenly, the surrounding tables and chairs were all sent flying more than 10 meters away. The paintings on the walls were all turned into powder. Many porcelain and jade bottles on the antique shelves first had cracks, and then they all shattered with a series of explosive sounds. Hu Qingtian and Wei Failong were directly sent flying into the courtyard. Fortunately, they didn't faint. The power of the mistress is actually so terrifying. I almost vomited blood from the shock. They raised their heads with difficulty and looked at Zhao Xueqing in the living room with fear in their eyes. However, they saw an even more shocking scene. At this time, Qing'er's eyes were slightly closed. Her jade face was radiant, and there were thousands of auspicious rays of light lingering around her body. She looked incomparably holy, like the goddess of mercy who saved everyone. Break. Suddenly, her beautiful eyebrows slightly wrinkled, as if she felt some pain. She raised her head and shouted. Behind her, Chila. Like two colorful lightning bolts, two 10-meter-long golden rock-like wings stretched out, followed by a colorful phoenix tail. The golden feathers seemed to be cast in gold, the blue feathers were like ice crystals, the red feathers were like flames, and the white feathers were like snow. They were brilliant and dazzling. It was unknown what they were made of, but they were vivid and lifelike. Then a red phoenix's shadow appeared on Zhao Xueqing's body and merged with her. The phoenix's eyes were wide open and its tail was swaying. Its wings were flapping slightly with a powerful aura. It was indomitable, and it had a peerless majesty that looked down on the world. The immortal body of 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 the immortal. Seeing this, Jiang Tian was shocked, and his face was filled with ecstasy and anticipation. Chapter 278. Divine Power, Lingxi Finger. It can destroy a peak transcendent state cultivator with one finger. Jiang Tian's eyes were full of anticipation. At the same time, he also used his immortal will to help Zhao Xueqing awaken this divine power. Whoosh. Whoosh. Zhao Xueqing absorbed the phoenix into her body. Her energy was even stronger. She stretched out her slender finger and pointed it in the air. There was a loud rumble. A lightning-like finger radiance shot out and smashed the fake mountain in the courtyard into powder. Wherever the finger aura passed, a 20-meter-long and 1-meter-wide mark appeared on the lawn and the road. Even the bluestone pavement seemed to have been dug up by an excavator. It was forcibly blasted open by the finger radiance, revealing fresh soil that was more than a meter deep. It was a shocking sight. This finger aura can destroy an armored car. Hu Qingtian and Wei Feilong murmured to themselves in shock. Jiang Tian was overjoyed. Qing'er's Lingxi finger was much more powerful than his. He glanced at Hu Qingtian and Wei Feilong and said with a smile, "The next one will be even more powerful. Be careful." "Oh my God, run." Hearing this, the two of them screamed and jumped up 100 meters away. They watched from afar, afraid that they would be caught in the crossfire. It has the divine power, Li Fire Phoenix Eyes. Once used, it can burn the sky and melt everything in the world. Jiang Tian used his immortal will to speak with anticipation. Qing'er's clear and beautiful eyes flickered for a while. First, two needle-like golden dots appeared. Then, they turned into two golden flowers that suddenly bloomed. Finally, suddenly, there was a crashing sound. Two crimson flames shot out from the pair of limpid eyes, shooting 10 meters away and enveloping the void. "Oh my God, this is definitely 10 times more powerful than Lin Zhenyu's lava fire poison." Wei Feilong looked at the rolling flames, and the shock in his eyes reached a point where it couldn't be any greater. With such power, Mistress is indeed a supreme beauty. She is like a god. Hu Qingtian's face was full of reverence, longing, and fear as he sighed, as if he had seen a goddess. Indeed, in this world, only Mistress is worthy of Grandmaster Jiang. Shen Mange thought deeply and muttered to herself with a shocked expression as she looked at the figure standing proudly. At this moment, he felt that Zhao Xueqing was truly like a goddess who looked down upon the world with disdain. Then, under the guidance of Jiang Tian's immortal will, Qing'er awakened a few more divine powers. It has the divine power of the phoenix, awe-inspiring. Once used, it can suppress a transcendent master. It has the divine power of the phoenix heart art. It can bring the dead back to life, heal injuries, and cure poison. It has divine power of the divine power of the 9 heavens. It's a movement technique that can shatter the void and achieve instantaneous movement. It's unfathomable and almost breaks the sound barrier. It has the divine power of the phoenix feather sky. The hidden weapon technique uses the true essence of the phoenix body to form a feather-shaped chi weapon. It can kill thousands of soldiers. Divine abilities awakened one after another. Even Jiang Tian felt shocked, a bit dumbstruck, unable to accept this. The stainless phoenix immortal physique was a physique that had been nurtured for 12 generations in the cultivation world. Although it had its drawbacks, making it difficult to stimulate one's cultivation. Once one consumed the new flower to replenish their energy, they would be able to break through their shackles and suppress the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The divine power of the deity body was almost instinctive. It could be used instantly and could kill people without leaving a trace. It was many times more powerful than Dharma spells and talismans. Even though Qing'er was not powerful enough, and had only awakened less than 10 divine powers, she could definitely kill a transcendent master, and even fight with a half-step immortal state warrior. As for iron body and inner force experts, in front of Qing'er, they were as insignificant as ants in dust. She could sweep them away with a wave of her hand. After Qing'er had used all the divine powers she had awakened so far. I didn't expect there to be such a powerful overlord in this world. Wei Feilong shook his head bitterly and heaved a sigh. I feel like I have wasted my decades of hard work. No wonder Master Kong went through so much trouble to find the new flower. It can make mistress so powerful. Hua Qingtian was dumbfounded and dejected. Master Kong, mistress is now more powerful than you. From now on, you will have no place in the family. Shen Mange finally came back to her senses. She suppressed the shock in her heart and teased Jiang Tian. I'm very happy. I'll be living off a woman from now on. Jiang Tian said with a mischievous smile. Hubby, please don't say that. I know you gave me all this. Zhao Xueqing's face was full of smiles. Her smile was very sweet and beautiful, but her beautiful eyes were full of tears. She stared deeply at Jiang Tian. Why are you crying? Jiang Tian gently wiped away her tears. Zhao Xueqing hugged Jiang Tian tightly and leaned her head on his neck. She cried with joy and said emotionally, I am very happy. I am very happy. It is not because I have become stronger, but because I finally have the qualifications to stand side by side with you. At this time, the sun was setting in the west. The particle-like golden light enveloped the two people tightly hugging each other. More than a year ago, on the beach of the Banquet of Bliss in Yangcheng, Jiang Tian said, Then let's cultivate together. And now, with this promise, he climbed to the top of Mount Everest and picked the 1,000-year-old new flower. It was like a ray of light that dispelled the long loneliness and darkness. The dust cleared and the light dispersed. The light illuminated the mountains and rivers. November 12, 2008. Zhao Xueqing swallowed the 1,000-year-old new flower. She seized the good fortune of heaven and earth and changed her fate. The immortal body of the stainless phoenix maiden was successfully awakened, and she became a true cultivator. She stepped into the 6th level of chi refining and looked down on the world. She was a supreme beauty. The curtain of night fell, and the lights were warm. Jiang Tian, who had changed his clothes, walked out of the living room and said indifferently, I am going out to buy groceries. Today I will make some of my best dishes. Let's have a good drink and reward Brother Hua and Brother Wei. Master Kong is going to buy groceries and cook in person? Hua Qingtian and Wei Feilong, who had drunk 7 or 8 times from the juice machine, were stunned. They really couldn't imagine that Jiang Tian would buy groceries and cook. This was really too down to earth. Master Kong is cooking for us. What kind of favor and honor is this? Let's go, let's go. The two hurriedly followed. Master Kong is going to buy groceries. If we don't go, it doesn't seem right. Soon, the 3 of them arrived at a nearby supermarket and began to buy groceries. Suddenly, Jiang Tian's body swayed. He hurriedly covered his mouth with a paper towel. Hua Qingtian, who was beside him, immediately supported him. He frowned and said, Master Kong, are you still not feeling well? Jiang Tian frowned and threw the blood-stained paper towel into the trash can. He said indifferently, several meridians and acupoints are injured. Now I can only use 1/10 of my original cultivation. I am afraid I will have to go into seclusion for 3 months. Don't buy too much. Let's go quickly. Yeah, you should rest more. Hu Qingtian and Wei Feilong hurriedly persuaded him. They were very anxious. I came out just to spit out this mouthful of blood. Now that Qing'er has divine sense, it will be very difficult to hide from her eyes. Jiang Tian said indifferently. He opened the bottle of mineral water and swallowed some pills. Then he said indifferently, "Let's go." After Jiang Tian left, a tall man wearing a red hat and a red vest suddenly walked to the trash can. He bent down and took out the paper towel that Jiang Tian threw away. He carefully looked at it and smelled it. He's injured? At this moment he straightened his body. Under the red hat, a trace of killing intent flashed in his blue eyes. Report to the chief. This should be the best time for our tombstone to make a move. $500 million is a windfall even if it's divided equally among a dozen people. His heart was moved. He hurriedly walked out of the supermarket and quickly disappeared into the rolling crowd. Master Sister Qing. The next day, Jiang Tian was nourishing his body. Suddenly, Tang Linglong walked quickly into the villa and shouted happily. Tang Linglong was wearing a camouflage combat uniform and high-top combat boots. Her hair was tied into a neat ponytail. She looked valiant and mighty. Hee hee, little girl, you're doing well in Fighting Dragon. Congratulations on your promotion. I'll treat you to a meal next time. Jiang Tian looked at her epaulette and smiled faintly. There was a trace of gratification on his face. Last year, on the day of old Master Jiang Chongging's birthday, the whole Tang family came to offer birthday gifts and a red coral. However, during that birthday banquet, old Master Tang also asked Jiang Tian for permission to let Tang Linglong join Fighting Dragon, and let Jiang Tian make the decision. Jiang Tian gladly agreed at that time. The little girl did not like to wear red clothes, but to be armed. Joining Fighting Dragon had always been her dream. Moreover, to her, the best experience was to fight and kill. It was obvious that after a year of experience, Tang Linglong's cultivation was much stronger than before. She had perfected the Haoran physical tempering art. Her breath was long and her true vitality was vigorous. She was about to enter the real qi refining stage. Moreover, looking at her epaulette, she was now a senior colonel. She should be the captain of Fighting Dragon. The Tang family finally had a successor. Yes, I used to teach Fighting Dragon. When I joined, Cheng Tiantian gave up her position, and I became the captain of Fighting Dragon. Tang Linglong smiled sweetly, and chatted with Jiang Tian and his wife. Suddenly, her face turned serious and she frowned. Master, I have something important to report to you. Say it. Master. Tang Linglong did not say it. Instead, she looked at Zhao Xueqing awkwardly. Oh, you're afraid that your master's wife will be worried? There's no need for that. She's a cultivator now. Jiang Tian smiled faintly. He felt a little proud. Her strength was not inferior to his. Ah, a master's wife has become a cultivator. Tang Linglong was overjoyed. Only then did she notice the change in Zhao Xueqing's temperament. She seemed to be more dignified and imposing. At that moment, she told Chen Xiaobei everything. She said worriedly, Master, our military's red hat experts broke into the dark web and intercepted a message. Someone is offering a reward of $500 million for your head. My head is so valuable? Jiang Tian said with a smile that was not a smile. $500 million? Hu Qingtian and Wei Feilong were shocked. They were both dumbfounded. Money moved people. $500 million was equivalent to nearly 4 billion Huaxia yuan in 2008. Such a large sum of money could make many desperados move. Who offered the reward? Jiang Tian frowned. A cold light flashed in his eyes. Chapter 279. Jiang Tian was not afraid of thieves stealing, but he was afraid of thieves thinking about him. Now that Jiang Tian had a big family and business, he was no longer alone. The Jiang family, the Medicine King Group, and Lingnan had his own people and businesses everywhere. Although these forces couldn't harm him and Qing'er, casually wreaking havoc was enough to annoy them. In an instant he thought of many possibilities. Could it be the Singapore Chinese Society, the Japanese Cherry Blossom Society, or the Big Circle Gang? Master, the other party is Hidden Flower. They did not disclose the identity of the investor, but the funds have been transferred to the dark net. Once the killer succeeds, the dark net will be the middleman to pay. Tang Linglong shook her head and said, "The dark net is the world's most mysterious hacker organization. The person behind it is called Hacker Robin Hood. But it's just a code name. No one knows his real identity. Even their office location is unknown." "Oh, I see." Jiang Tian smiled faintly and said, "Don't worry. Your master's wife and I will deal with everything. She just needs a chance to practice." Qing'er was gentle and kind. Usually, even killing chickens and fish would be done by Jiang Tian. But a cultivator was bound to go against the heavens and kill all the way. Only by going through the training of killing could she cultivate the heart of a powerhouse. "Master, War Dragon wants to help you kill these killers." Tang Linglong took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "This time it's a big deal. Almost all the underworld is attracted by the $500 million. Tombstone, Scarlet Totem, Butterfly Skeleton, Sky Eye, Blackwater, and other killers and mercenary organizations are all going to take action. You're in a combat suit and armed to the teeth. You must have a mission, right?" Jiang Tian smiled faintly. "Master, don't worry about that. Anyway, it's very troublesome this time. I can't just ignore it. Do I need you to protect me?" Jiang Tian smiled. Tang Linglong wanted to say something, but stopped. "All right, stop sneaking around outside, come in," Jiang Tian suddenly said with a smile. Disciple greets Master Kong. Suddenly, Cheng Tian, tyrannical dragon, fox, and more than a dozen battle dragons walked in and greeted Jiang Tian. At this moment, Cheng Tian said in distress, "Captain, we can't. The order given to us is to go to the northeast to intercept Xiao Bin." "Xiao Bin? He's still alive?" "He actually wants to come to Wuxia." "What does he want?" Hu Qingtian turned pale with fright. Wei Feilong also looked uneasy. Xiao Bin was the #1 grandmaster in the northeast. However, he was defeated by Yi Zhantian in the long formation operation at the end of the 1990s and fled to the Siberian plateau. However, veteran grandmasters like Hu Qingtian knew. Back then, Xiao Bin was even more powerful than Lin Zhenyu. Yi Zhantian could not defeat him at all. Later, when the military saw that Xiao Bin was no match for Yi Zhantian, they used firearms to attack him. Thousands of cannons were fired at the same time, and Xiao Bin was seriously injured. Knowing that he would not be able to gain the upper hand even if he continued to fight, he fled to Russia. "Well, I heard that he has been cooperating with the Russian military these years. His cultivation has become stronger," Cheng Tian said with a solemn face. "Then I'm afraid he is already half a step away from the divine realm. Maybe even the real divine realm." Hu Qingtian and Wei Feilong were shocked again. This time he is going to make a comeback and destroy the martial arts world in Wuxia. Especially the Long Formation and Yi Zhantian. They are his targets. Cheng Tian said. "We have received information that he may set off at any time during this period. The order from the higher-ups is that we must arrive at the Northeast Border Police Station within 3 days. Once we find him, we will kill him without mercy." "Then why don't you hurry over?" Jiang Tian frowned and looked at Tang Linglong. He said earnestly, "Linglong, you have to understand that military orders are unalterable. It is the duty of a soldier to obey orders. You must obey orders without any compromise." Sensing the reproach in Jiang Tian's tone, Tang Linglong felt wronged and anxious. Her eyes were red and she said tearfully, "Master, I'm worried about you. I'm afraid that I will never see you again." "Hurry up." Jiang Tian waved his hand impatiently. Tang Linglong lowered her head and remained silent for a long time. Then she blinked gently and a few drops of crystal tears fell to the ground. "Let's go. Master is so powerful. He will be fine." Cheng Tian pulled Tang Linglong and comforted her softly. Tang Linglong stood up and glared at Jiang Tian angrily. Then she held her head high and walked away. They left the villa and got into the car. Suddenly, Zhao Xueqing rushed over. "Linglong, wait." She took out dozens of protective jade talismans and handed them to Tang Linglong and the others. "Master gave them to you for protection. You must wear them all the time." "Thank you, Master and Mistress." Master is so nice to us. This must be a legendary magical artifact. Cheng Tian and the others smiled and thanked her. They scrambled to wear the talismans on their necks and wrists. Tang Linglong, on the other hand, was motionless. Her face was expressionless as she stared blankly ahead. Don't be angry with him. He has been very worried about you. Zhao Xueqing comforted her softly. She sighed in her heart. Strong enemies were coming, but your master asked Wei Feilong and Huqing Tian, the two seniors, to follow you all the way and protect you secretly. He didn't even care about the Jiang family in Jinling at this moment. Thank Master for me. Tang Linglong lowered her head and finally said something. After the car started and drove far away, Tang Linglong suddenly turned her head and looked at King's No. 1 villa at the top of Lion Peak. She could no longer control her emotions. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she sobbed silently. Master, I'm afraid that I will never see you again. I'm afraid that when I see you again, you'll be a cold corpse. Her heart was filled with resentment. Master, you only have Sister Qing'er in your heart. You only know that Sister Qing'er is worried about you and loves you, but you don't know how important you are in my heart. What should we do about Jiang Tian? It seems that a lot of enemies are coming for us. Back in the villa's living room, Qing'er looked at Jiang Tian and said worriedly. Jiang Tian pondered for a moment. Suddenly, he raised his eyebrows and said in a deep voice, Qing'er, you already have the cultivation, but you need to learn how to use it. How about I leave these enemies to you? Ah, kill them? Qing'er's delicate body trembled slightly. Her face was as pale as a sheet. She was originally gentle and benevolent. Killing people. She didn't even dare to think about it before. There's a demon in your heart that needs to be removed. Although Jiang Tian couldn't bear to do it, he knew that this kind of training was necessary. He said in a deep voice, if you don't kill them, they will kill you and me. A strong person needs to kill. Hubby, I understand. Qing'er sighed, but her eyes flashed with determination. Mange, bring Ghost Kick, Li Jinwei, Qiugong, and the others to Jinling quickly. Contact Yi Ziwei and strictly guard the Jiang family's property. All the forces, the police force day and night. Join forces with Yu Chang and Su Ruoqing's forces. Don't you need me to teach you? Jiang Tian ordered. Yes, Master. This servant understands. Shen Mangu responded and simply turned around to leave. Wait, here's a protective jade talisman. Jiang Tian stood up and patted a jade talisman in her hand. He patted her head and smiled. You've worked hard these days. Thank you, Master. Shen Mange blushed. She lowered her eyes and a trace of shyness appeared in her heart. She turned and left. She looked very calm, but her heart was in a daze. When she walked out of the door, she tripped on the doorstep and almost fell. She heard Jiang Tian laughing behind her. You're at the qi refining stage? Shen Mange blushed even more. She lowered her head and hurried away. She's really worked hard. You should treat her better in the future. Zhao Xueqing held Jiang Tian's hand and smiled. I didn't mistreat her. You're doing well today. You look happy. Why don't you take her in as a servant girl to warm your bed? Qing'er said with a smile. Don't dig a hole for me. I hate it. Jiang Tian was shocked and hurried to the kitchen to cook. After the meal, Jiang Tian sat cross-legged on the sofa in the living room, refining the healing medicine. Qing'er was watching a TV program on the side. The two of them chatted from time to time. It was a rare moment of peace and happiness. Soon it was late at night. Qing'er came out of the bathroom in silk pajamas. She smiled and said, Hubby, you're tired. Rest early. Ha, it's still early? Jiang Tian smiled faintly. He guessed that the assassins would be here soon. Qing'er's face suddenly flushed red. She lowered her head slightly and her beautiful eyes were covered with a faint layer of water vapor. She said in a voice as soft as a mosquito, Hubby, I can cultivate now. There's no need to maintain my primordial yin body for cultivation anymore. That's true. No wonder she dressed up so beautifully. Jiang Tian suddenly understood. He scratched his head and smiled. Then let's go to sleep. It seems that someone is coming. Qing'er frowned. She looked very unhappy and a little angry. Her divine sense was not inferior to Jiang Tian's. She had already sensed that a powerful figure was leaping up and down like a grasshopper, invading the number 1 king's villa from all directions. Mr. Jiang, I've heard a lot about you. I'm here to visit you today. It seems that I'm a little late. I hope I won't disturb you and your wife's rest. Sure enough, a cold voice sounded. A figure in a black robe appeared in the living room like a ghost. His head and face were enveloped in a cloak, and his skin was pale without the slightest trace of blood. His face was enveloped in numerous strange blood-colored markings that were densely wriggling like earthworms, and it looked extremely terrifying and horrifying. He emitted a bloodthirsty and gloomy aura. The temperature in the living room suddenly dropped. It was as if they were in the coldest winter. Ice crystals appeared on the glass. A terrible aura of death spread out and shrouded the whole room. The delicate roses in the vase withered and fell as if their vitality had been taken away. Who are you? Zhao Xueqing frowned. She summoned her courage and said unhappily, "Get out now. Otherwise I'll kill you." The black-robed man sat down on the sofa opposite Jiang Tian. He smiled and said, "Master Kong, I heard that you're injured, right? Do you want me to help you and make you immortal?" "Oh, how do you make me immortal?" Jiang Tian looked at him with interest and smiled. "Have you heard of the blood race?" The black-robed man smiled. The blood race, also known as the vampires, is the greatest race in the world. Once you've been infected with the noble blood of the blood race, you'll be immortal. You're from the blood race? Jiang Tian asked curiously. That's right. Other than the blood ancestor, his descendants are divided into Duke, Marquis, Count, Viscount, and man according to the order of inheritance and strength. The black-robed man shrugged his shoulders. He was obviously sinister and evil, but strangely, he gave people a feeling of elegance. His blood-red lips opened slightly and he smiled. And I, Anthony, am a noble marquis of the blood race. Killing your transcendent experts is like child's play. If I suck a mouthful of your blood, your injuries will heal immediately. Not only will you not die, but you'll also evolve into a count and live for at least 300 years. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.